delegates, and honored guests. Welcome to the InnovaConnect event today. Distinguished leaders, esteemed delegates, and honored guests. Danang is the first locality in the country to pioneer the designation of August 30th at the Semiconductor Day, starting from 2024. In the context where the semiconductor industry has been recognized by the country as a strategic sector, today the People's Committee of Danang, in coordination with the Central Policy and Strategy Board, the VinFuture Foundation, and the University of Danang, proudly organizes the InnovaConnect 2025 event under the theme Platform Technologies for Future Society, the Convergence of Electronics and Photonics. This event is part of Danang Semiconductor Day 2025 within the framework of Danang Finance and Tech Week 2025, a national initiative that highlights Vietnam's growing role in the global semiconductor industry. The InnovaConnect Seminar Series is a flagship initiative of the VinFuture Foundation to bring the leading scientific and technological knowledge closer to Vietnamese science and technology community. Today's event will showcase the latest advances in two core technologies, electronics and photonics. Distinguished leaders, esteemed delegates, and honored guests, it is now our great pleasure to introduce the distinguished participants to join this morning's seminar. From the Central Government Delegation, we warmly welcome Associate Professor Dr. Vũ Hải Quân, member of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, President of Vietnam National University of Ho Chi Minh City. We warmly welcome Mr. Nguyen, Director General, Department of Science and Technology, the Central Committee for Policy and Strategy. From the leadership representatives of foreign diplomatic missions in Vietnam, it is our honor to introduce Mr. Mark Knapper, Ambassador of the United States of America to Vietnam. Ms. Maria Mitsanova Georgievna, Consul General of the Russian Federation in Danang. We warmly welcome Mr. Dương Thuận Phong, Acting Consul General of the People's Republic of China in Danang. We warmly welcome Mr. Terado Hirotsugu, Consul of the Consulate General of Japan in Danang. From the leadership of Danang City, it is our honor to introduce Mr. Lương Nguyễn Minh Chiết, alternate member of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, Deputy Secretary of the Danang Municipal, Chairman of the People's Committee of Danang. We warmly welcome Mr. Hồ Quang Bưu, member of Danang Municipal, Vice Chairman of the People's Committee of Danang. From the co-organizing units, it is our honor to introduce Dr. Lê Thái Hà, Managing Director of the VinFuture Foundation. We warmly welcome Associate Professor Dr. Lê Thành Bắc, Vice President of the University of Danang. It is also our great honor to introduce the distinguished experts, speakers, and delegates from the Advisory Expert Group of the Steering Committee for the implementation of Resolution No. 57 of the Politburo of Danang City, together with the representatives from the city department, agencies, and office. Today's seminar is also honored to welcome more than 400 delegates, including representatives of organizations, associations, enterprises, and investors from both within Vietnam and abroad. International organizations in Vietnam, universities, colleges, and vocational institutions, as well as members from the central, local, and the international press, joining us both in person and also online. We sincerely thank you and warmly welcome all to our distinguished delegates. distinguished leaders, and esteemed delegates. To successfully commence the program, it is our great honor to respectfully invite Mr. Nguyen Minh Triết, alternate member of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, Deputy Secretary of the Danang People Committee, and the Chairman to the People's Committee of Danang City, to deliver the welcoming remarks. Please welcome.
Kính thưa đồng chí Vũ Hải Quân, Ủy viên Ban chấp hành Trung ương Đảng, Giám đốc Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Kính thưa các đồng chí lãnh đạo các ban bộ ngành trung ương, lãnh đạo các ủy ban của Quốc hội. Thưa các vị khách quốc tế, thưa các vị đại biểu khách quý. Trong tuần lễ sôi động của tuần lễ Tài chính Công nghệ 2025, hôm nay chúng ta có mặt tại thành phố Đà Nẵng để cùng tham dự Ngày Vi mạch bán dẫn Đà Nẵng năm 2025. Hội thảo sáng nay với chủ đề các công nghệ nền tảng cho xã hội tương lai, sự giao thoa giữa điện tử và quang tử là dịp để cùng nhau chia sẻ tri thức, kết nối nguồn lực và khẳng định khát vọng dẫn dắt công nghệ bán dẫn của Đà Nẵng. Thay mặt cho lãnh đạo thành phố, tôi trân trọng cảm ơn và hoan nghênh sự hiện diện của các vị đại biểu khách quý, các đồng chí lãnh đạo, các diễn giả, các doanh nghiệp, nhà đầu tư đã có mặt trong ngày hội hôm nay. Kính chúc các vị luôn mạnh khỏe, hạnh phúc và thành công. Kính thưa các vị, Đảng và Nhà nước Việt Nam đã xác định rõ để trở thành nước công nghiệp hiện đại vào năm 2030 và nước phát triển thu nhập cao vào năm 2045. Việt Nam phải coi khoa học công nghệ, đổi mới sáng tạo và chuyển đổi số là động lực tăng trưởng quan trọng cho kỷ nguyên vươn mình của dân tộc. Trong đó, công nghệ chip bán dẫn được xác định là một trong 11 lĩnh vực công nghệ chiến lược của Việt Nam, tập trung vào sản phẩm công nghệ chiến lược gồm chip chuyên dụng, chip AI và chip IoT. Căn cứ nghị quyết 57 của Bộ Chính trị về phát triển khoa học công nghệ, đổi mới sáng tạo và chuyển đổi số, chiến lược phát triển ngành công nghiệp bán dẫn Việt Nam đến năm 2030, tầm nhìn đến năm 2050, ban hành kèm theo quyết định số 1018 ngày 21 tháng 9 năm 2024 của Thủ tướng Chính phủ. Trung ương đã xác định lộ trình phát triển từ đào tạo nhân lực đến nghiên cứu, thiết kế, đóng gói, kiểm thử và tiến tới sản xuất vi mạch. Xác định phát triển công nghiệp bán dẫn Việt Nam phải đi cùng với phát triển ngành công nghiệp điện tử, công nghiệp chuyển đổi số để tạo đầu ra cho chip bán dẫn. Thưa quý vị, thành phố Đà Nẵng cũng đã ban hành đề án phát triển lĩnh vực vi mạch bán dẫn và trí tuệ nhân tạo tại quyết định số 257 ngày 21 tháng 1 năm 2025. Qua đó xác định mục tiêu đến năm 2030 đưa Đà Nẵng trở thành một trong 3 trung tâm hàng đầu cả nước về thiết kế vi mạch và ứng dụng trí tuệ nhân tạo, hình thành mạng lưới đào tạo nguồn nhân lực chất lượng cao và hệ sinh thái đổi mới sáng tạo trong ngành bán dẫn trí tuệ nhân tạo. Trong đó, tập trung phát triển ít nhất 5.000 nhân lực chất lượng cao trong lĩnh vực bán dẫn, hình thành ít nhất 30 doanh nghiệp thiết kế, 2 doanh nghiệp đóng gói và ít nhất 5 startup trong lĩnh vực bán dẫn. Là địa phương đầu tiên trong cả nước tiên phong lựa chọn ngày dành riêng cho lĩnh vực vi mạch bán dẫn, khẳng định khát vọng và tầm nhìn phát triển trong lĩnh vực này. Sau 1 năm kể từ lần đầu tiên sự kiện Ngày Vi mạch bán dẫn Đà Nẵng được tổ chức ngày 30 tháng 8 năm 2024, thành phố Đà Nẵng chúng tôi cũng đã có những bước tiến mạnh mẽ trên 4 khía cạnh là chính sách, hạ tầng, nhân lực và thu hút đầu tư. Chúng ta đã và đang bước vào giai đoạn phát triển mới, nơi mà đột phá và sáng tạo là chìa khóa để vượt qua giới hạn, bứt phá vươn lên, đưa dân tộc Việt Nam thoát khỏi nguy cơ tụt hậu, hiện thực hóa khát vọng hùng cường, thịnh vượng. Tôi tin rằng từ hội thảo hôm nay, những trí tuệ, tâm huyết và sáng kiến của quý vị sẽ góp phần quan trọng vào hành trình ấy, không chỉ cho Đà Nẵng mà cho cả đất nước Việt Nam của chúng ta. Thay mặt lãnh đạo thành phố, một lần nữa tôi xin bày tỏ sự trân trọng đối với sự quan tâm của Đảng, Nhà nước, các cơ quan trung ương cũng như sự đồng hành của cộng đồng doanh nghiệp, các chuyên gia, học giả và thế hệ trẻ trong và ngoài nước. Tôi hy vọng rằng tại Ngày Vi mạch bắn dẫn Đà Nẵng năm 2005, chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau trao đổi, chia sẻ, kiến tạo những sáng kiến, những hợp tác thiết thực, góp phần phát triển nhanh và bền vững hệ sinh thái vi mạch bắn dẫn Việt Nam. Với tinh thần đó, tôi xin phép được khai mạc Ngày Vi mạch bắn dẫn Đà Nẵng năm 2025 và chúc hội thảo thành công, thu được nhiều kết quả tốt đẹp. Xin kính chúc quý vị mạnh khỏe và thành đạt. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nguyen Minh-Chiết, for your opening remarks. Distinguished leaders and esteemed delegates, Vietnam National University of Ho Chi Minh City is among the country's leading institutions in semiconductor workforce training. Within the framework of today's seminar, it is our great honor to invite Associate Professor Dr. Vũ Hải Quân, member of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Vietnam, President of the Vietnam's National University Ho Chi Minh City, to the stage to deliver his remarks. Please welcome Associate Professor Dr. Vũ Hải Quân.
Kính thưa đồng chí Lương Nguyễn Minh Chiết, Ủy viên Dự khuyết Ban chấp hành Trung ương Đảng, Chủ tịch Ủy ban Nhân dân thành phố Đà Nẵng. Kính thưa ngài Mark Knepper, Đại sứ quán Hoa Kỳ tại Việt Nam. Kính thưa các đồng chí đại biểu, đại diện cho các ban đảng trung ương, Quốc hội, các bộ ban ngành và các địa phương, các nhà khoa học và các em sinh viên thân mến. Hôm nay tôi rất là vui mừng được Ủy ban Nhân dân thành phố Đà Nẵng mời ra đây dự một cái buổi tọa đàm mà hết sức là quan trọng liên quan đến vấn đề là cái định vị, cái lộ trình cũng như là cái chiến lược phát triển cái ngành công nghiệp chip bán dẫn tại Đà Nẵng. Thời gian vừa qua thì chúng tôi cũng đã có hợp tác trao đổi, và đối với cá nhân tôi thì thấy rằng là Đà Nẵng là một trong những thành phố tiên phong nhất của Việt Nam trong cái việc là phát triển cái công nghệ chip bán dẫn. Các anh cũng đã có những cái kế hoạch, có những cái lộ trình hết sức cụ thể và cũng đã xây dựng, khởi công được một cái trung tâm về chip bán dẫn về thực hành mới đây khai trương cách đây cũng vài tuần. Tôi xin phép có một số thông tin cập nhật về cái tình hình phát triển về đào tạo nghiên cứu về cái ngành công nghiệp chip bán dẫn tại Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, cũng là để chia sẻ cái bài học kinh nghiệm với lại người bạn của tôi ở đây là Đại học Đà Nẵng cũng như là tất cả quý vị đại biểu. Báo cáo tất cả quý vị đại biểu thì Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh thì chúng tôi xác định là tầm nhìn là đưa cái Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh trở thành cái trung tâm đào tạo, nghiên cứu, chuyển giao công nghệ, đổi mới sáng tạo hàng đầu của khu vực châu Á về cái lĩnh vực là công nghệ chip bán dẫn. Thì để làm được cái thực hóa được cái tầm nhìn này thì chúng tôi dựa trên là 4-5 cái trụ cột như sau. Cái trụ cột thứ nhất là đào tạo. Thì báo cáo với quý vị đại biểu thì chúng tôi coi rằng là với cái trách nhiệm của Đại học Quốc gia, chúng tôi phấn đấu từ giờ đến năm 2030 đấy thì có thể đào tạo được khoảng 1.500 kỹ sư chuyên về thiết kế, và đâu đó cũng khoảng là 500 người có trình độ từ thạc sĩ đến tiến sĩ, và đồng thời thực hiện cái đào tạo chuyển đổi, tức là cho những người mà có cái ngành gần đó, mà muốn làm hoạt động ở trong cái lĩnh vực công nghệ chip bán dẫn, vì cái quy mô chúng tôi cũng mong muốn chuyển đổi cấp chứng chỉ cho khoảng là 15.000 kỹ sư. Báo cáo với quý vị đại biểu thì cho tới mùa tuyển sinh năm nay thì Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh là có tổng chỉ tiêu là khoảng là bậc đại học và sau đại học là khoảng là 430 chỉ tiêu. Trong đó thì có 2 ngành chính, một là cái ngành thiết kế vi mạch tập trung vào đào tạo kỹ sư và đại học và sau đại học trong cái lĩnh vực thiết kế, hai là ngành công nghệ bán dẫn thì đào tạo những cái kiến thức tổng quát để có thể dễ dàng chuyển đổi cho cái việc thích ứng, đặc biệt là cái đưa các cái công nghệ mới về AI vào trong cái việc thiết kế hoặc là chế tạo hoặc là sản xuất hoặc là kiểm thử chip bán dẫn. Và cũng có một cái tín hiệu rất vui, đó là tôi đơn cử như trường Đại học Bách khoa Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh. Ở đây là một cái trung tâm đào tạo về cái ngành kỹ thuật công nghệ hàng đầu của phía Nam. Thì trong mùa tuyển sinh năm nay thì là ngành chip bán dẫn là có điểm chuẩn cao thứ 3. Điểm chuẩn cao nhất đó là ngành trí tuệ nhân tạo. Điểm chuẩn cao thứ 2 là ngành khoa học dữ liệu, và điểm chuẩn cao thứ 3 là chip bán dẫn. Như vậy có thể nói rằng là bằng qua những cái cuộc hội thảo hội nghị như này thì cái công tác truyền thông đóng vai trò rất quan trọng giúp cho định hướng sinh viên chọn ngành, và hiện nay thì chúng ta đã quy tụ được một cái đội ngũ sinh viên phải nói là rất tài năng, và chúng tôi chỉ đào tạo cái chương trình kỹ sư tài năng và cử nhân tài năng cho cái ngành chip bán dẫn mà thôi. Cái lĩnh vực thứ hai á, mà chúng tôi tập trung đó là cái lĩnh vực về nghiên cứu. Thì cũng báo cáo với quý vị đại biểu, chúng tôi cũng đã gửi lại ra cho tổ giúp việc của ban chỉ đạo nghị quyết 57 5 cái công nghệ về chip bán dẫn, 5 con chip chứ không phải là 5 công nghệ, 50 con chip mà chúng tôi đăng ký là sản phẩm của gọi là sản phẩm chiến lược quốc gia mà Đại học Quốc gia sẽ thực hiện. Tôi đơn cử ví dụ như là chip điều khiển đa dạng 32 bit, hay là chip trí tuệ nhân tạo cận biên, chip thu phát thu phát thông tin vô tuyến cho IoT, UAV và vân vân. Tức là chúng tôi đã đăng ký 5 cái con chip này. Cái trụ cột thứ ba là hạ tầng. Thì chúng tôi đang xây dựng một cái trung tâm đổi mới sáng tạo quốc gia ở tại Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh với cái diện tích sàn khoảng là 42.000 mét vuông sàn. Và trong cái trung tâm này thì chúng tôi có thiết kế và cũng đã gửi đề án ra cho Bộ Khoa học Công nghệ cũng như các bộ ban ngành ở Trung ương về một hệ thống phòng thí nghiệm dùng chung với tổng cái kinh phí là khoảng 2.000 tỷ. Và trong năm nay và năm sau thì chúng tôi sẽ tập trung đầu tư vào phòng thí nghiệm về vi mạch và thiết kế vi mạch với cái quy mô khoảng là hơn 700 tỷ và sẽ triển khai trong năm nay và năm 2026 nếu như mà Bộ Khoa học Công nghệ và Bộ Tài chính bố trí được vốn. Thì đây sẽ là cái trung tâm để hợp tác với doanh nghiệp. Chúng tôi rất mong muốn là doanh nghiệp sẽ tới đây để đặt các cái R&D cũng như là hướng dẫn đào tạo cho sinh viên của chúng tôi có thể trong tương lai có một vài bạn sinh viên xuất sắc có thể có những start-up từ cái phòng thí nghiệm này. Cái thứ ba, cái thứ tư, trụ cột thứ tư là hợp tác với doanh nghiệp. Thì trong thời gian vừa qua thì chúng tôi cũng rất chú trọng với hợp tác với doanh nghiệp. Hợp tác với doanh nghiệp thì nó có mấy cái nội dung mà chúng tôi mong muốn. Một, đó là đổi mới cái chương trình đào tạo. Bởi vì cái chương trình đào tạo thì nó phải gắn với cái nhu cầu của doanh nghiệp. Cho nên tôi cũng đã cùng với lãnh sự quán của Hàn Quốc, của Nhật Bản, của Hoa Kỳ, năm ngoái chúng tôi tổ chức rất thành công một cái tọa đàm liên quan đến vấn đề là công nghệ chip bán dẫn, từ cái vấn đề là thiết kế chương trình đào tạo cho tới thực hành và cái cơ hội việc làm cho các cái bạn sinh viên. Thì như vậy là cái hợp tác doanh nghiệp đó thì chúng tôi cũng đã ký kết, ví dụ như là Synosys chẳng hạn, hay là các cái tập đoàn khác để mà Marvell chẳng hạn, để mà có được cái phần mềm cho sinh viên có thể là thiết kế, đồng thời là đây cũng là cái nơi thực hành thực tập cho các cái bạn sinh viên. Cái cuối cùng đó là cái đội ngũ chuyên gia nhà khoa học. Thì báo cáo với quý vị đại biểu thì Đại học Quốc gia chúng tôi có cái chương trình VNU 350 và chương trình giáo sư thỉnh giảng. Thì cho tới thời điểm hiện nay đó, là chúng tôi đã mời được là gần 50 giáo sư thỉnh giảng. Thì trong số gần 50 này thì tôi cũng xin phép được cập nhật đó, là có là đến 18 giáo sư là liên quan đến lĩnh vực là trí tuệ nhân tạo và chip bán dẫn, đến từ các cái trường đại học hàng đầu của thế giới, và đa phần và các doanh nghiệp nữa, nhưng mà hơn một nửa là những người Việt kiều của những người Việt Nam đang sống ở nước ngoài. Và có 3 tiến sĩ tốt nghiệp về cái ngành chip bán dẫn cũng đã quay về Đại học Quốc gia để mà công tác. Thì như vậy là 4 cái trụ cột đó với cái tầm nhìn là trở thành cái trung tâm đào tạo, nghiên cứu, chuyển giao công nghệ và đổi mới sáng tạo hàng đầu châu Á về chip bán dẫn. Thì tôi cũng muốn thông tin thêm cho cái buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay, và cũng rất mong là trong thời gian sắp tới Đại học Quốc gia Thành phố Hồ Chí Minh sẽ được đồng hành cùng với thành phố Đà Nẵng, cùng với người bạn đó là Đại học Đà Nẵng, để mà chúng ta có thể là sớm đưa cái công nghệ chip bán dẫn, tạo ra được những cái sản phẩm đóng góp cho sự phát triển của đất nước. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn.
Thank you, Dr. Vũ Hải Quân, for your opening remarks. Distinguished leaders, esteemed delegates, the year 2025 marks a significant milestone. 30 years since the establishment of the diplomatic relations between Vietnam and the United States, and nearly 2 years since the two countries elevated their relations to a comprehensive strategic partnership on September 10, 2023. In this fields of semiconductor and high technology, the United States has been and continue to be a close partners of Vietnam. So it is now our great honor to respectfully introduce and invite to the stage Mr. Mark Napper, Ambassador of the United States of America to Vietnam, to deliver his welcome remarks at today's event. Please welcome.
Well, morning, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be with you all today to celebrate, really, and it is a celebration of Danang Semiconductor Day 2025. Thank you especially to the leadership of Danang City for organizing this amazing event now 2 years running. And we thank all of the government and industry participants for your continued dedication to investing in Vietnam's future and success in a way that strengthens not just Vietnam's prosperity, but also strengthens the US-Vietnam relationship. And I particularly like to thank Chairman Chiat for your leadership and your invitation to participate today, as well as to VNU Ho Chi Minh City President Nguyen and Deputy Commissioner Nguyen for your dedication and commitment to this event as well. Danang Semiconductor Day is a great example of the city's commitment to a high-tech future and a commitment to fulfilling its great potential. And we want to support the American companies that are here already and are considering being here. We want to support them to help develop Vietnam's semiconductor ecosystem. And the timing couldn't be better. Of course, in a couple of days, we're going to celebrate the 80th anniversary of Vietnam's independence, for which we offer our heartiest and warmest congratulations. But as we just heard, we're also celebrating this year 30 years of US-Vietnam diplomatic relations, as well as coming up the second anniversary of our comprehensive strategic partnership. And just here in Danang in mid-June, we had a friendship festival which commemorated the breadth of the US-Vietnam partnership. And I know many of you were able to participate, and we thank you for that. So it's great to be back in Danang for this exciting opportunity to focus on the future of our two great countries. Events like this exemplify the ways that our two nations are deepening our cooperation on critical and emerging technologies that make both of our countries safer, stronger, and more prosperous. Of course, as we all know, semiconductor industry is the foundation of the modern global economy. It drives technological innovation and has enabled the fourth industrial revolution. In the United States and Vietnam together, we share a vision of harnessing the power of this vital industry to promote secure economic growth, to promote technical and technological innovation, to promote workforce development, and to promote sustainability. Now, of course, Danang's rapidly evolving semiconductor industry and sectors have captured global attention thanks to the city's rapidly developing economic base, its strategic location, its increasingly skilled workforce, and its visionary leadership. And so with this emerging tech ecosystem, exemplified by the recent establishment of Danang's Fab Lab, the city is well positioned to be at the forefront of growth in this critical high-tech sector, making today's event both timely and significant. And as we've heard, US semiconductor companies and high-tech firms are already here, and we will hope that they will continue to be part of Danang's high-tech aspirations and to be Danang's partner of choice. So we in the US government, we recognize the importance of fostering robust semiconductor supply chains, as well as resilient manufacturing networks. And so through a range of programs focused on STEM education, English language training, workforce development, and building ties between US and Vietnamese higher education institutions, such as VNU Ho Chi Minh City, as well as University of Danang. Through these kinds of partnerships, we are working hand in hand with Vietnam to achieve its high-tech ambitions. And through economic cooperation, as well as private sector-led initiatives, we are working with Vietnam to further enhance the semiconductor ecosystem here in a way that strengthens ties between American and Vietnamese companies, as well as promotes prosperity for our two countries. And so our shared commitment to innovation and to technological advancement presents us with a unique opportunity to deepen even further our two countries' cooperation in high-tech fields. And so at this pivotal moment, we must emphasize the critical role that investments play in propelling the semiconductor industry forward. Investments both from the public sector as well as the private sector. Increasing these investments in the semiconductor sector through direct government funding, tax incentives for companies, establishing dedicated research centers, and fostering collaboration between government, universities, and the private sector. All of these investments are crucial for developing the semiconductor industry here in Vietnam, regionally as well as globally. And so we encourage Vietnam to continue its work to ensure that the regulatory environment here is attractive and that Vietnam's intellectual property rights protection regime is strong. Foreign investors in all sectors, but especially the high-tech sector, place great emphasis on these elements. Again, regulatory environment and intellectual property right protections, they place great emphasis on these essential elements when they're assessing business opportunities in any market, including Vietnam. And so, as we know, American semiconductors, companies like Synopsys, Marvell, Amkor, Intel are already well established here in Vietnam, and in fact, well established here in Danang. And there are many other companies that are eager to launch new investments and partnerships, contributing not only to the growth of the semiconductor sector, but also to Vietnam's broader economic development. And so I'm very proud that great American companies like NVIDIA, Universal Alloy Corporation, and Amazon Web Services are already active here in Danang, and I know many others are robustly considering setting up shop in this great city. So, as we heard from President Nguyen from VNU Ho Chi Minh City, we understand the importance of Vietnam nurturing its talented and energetic workforce through training. And this begins with strengthening STEM education at all levels to ensure that Vietnam's education system is producing the graduates it needs with the technical skills to thrive in this high-tech semiconductor industry. And so US universities such as Arizona State University and many others are cooperating actively with Vietnamese higher education partners, and this kind of cooperation will continue to be key to Vietnam's technological development. And through these kinds of partnerships, this kind of collaboration between government and government, between academic institutions, between members of the private sector, it's through all these different kinds of cooperation that we can strengthen global supply chains, protect and encourage the development of intellectual property, and create high-quality jobs that benefit both Vietnam and the United States. And so as we look ahead to the future of US-Vietnam relations, I'm confident that together we can achieve remarkable milestones. Our joint efforts will not only drive economic progress, but will also contribute to innovation, prosperity, and resilient supply chains worldwide. And so I look forward to today's discussions and to the continued success of US-Vietnam cooperation in semiconductors and beyond. Once again, thank you very much, and congratulations once again to Vietnam on the 80th anniversary of its independence. Xin trân trọng cảm ơn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mark Napper, for your warm welcoming remarks. Distinguished leaders and esteemed delegates, the University of Danang plays a pivotal role in training and research in the city's semiconductor sector. So now it is our great honor to respectfully invite to the stage Associate Professor Dr. Lê Thành Bắc, Vice President of the University of Danang, to deliver his remarks. Please welcome.
Kính thưa quý vị lãnh đạo, quý vị đại biểu, các nhà khoa học, các diễn giả, toàn thể quý vị dự hội nghị. Hôm nay, Đại học Đà Nẵng chúng tôi rất vinh dự được đồng hành cùng Ban Chính sách Chiến lược Trung ương, Ủy ban Nhân dân thành phố Đà Nẵng, Quỹ VinFuture để tổ chức hội thảo khoa học với chủ đề các công nghệ nền tảng cho xã hội tương lai, sự giao thoa giữa điện tử và quang tử trong khuôn khổ của sự kiện Ngày Vi mạch bán dẫn 2025 tại thành phố Đà Nẵng. Chúng ta đang chứng kiến sự phát triển mạnh mẽ của cuộc cách mạng công nghiệp 4.0, nơi trí tuệ nhân tạo, tự động hóa và chuyển đổi số mở ra một cơ hội cho đổi mới sáng tạo, nâng cao năng suất và chất lượng trong cuộc sống. Trong tiến trình đó, công nghệ vi mạch bán dẫn và công nghệ quang tử đang giữ vai trò hạ tầng cốt lõi. Điện tử là phần cứng, xử lý và điều khiển, còn quang tử là hệ thống kết nối tốc độ cao. Sự hội tụ giữa electron và photon đang mở ra một không gian phát triển mới cho xã hội số. Là một đại học vùng trọng điểm đang từng bước trở thành đại học quốc gia, Đại học Đà Nẵng hiện nay có 6 trường đại học thành viên và 6 đơn vị đào tạo trực thuộc. Có trên 800 giảng viên có trình độ tiến sĩ, quy mô đào tạo trên 65.000 sinh viên và học viên. Đại học Đà Nẵng kế thừa 50 năm uy tín đào tạo chất lượng cao của trường Đại học Bách khoa Đà Nẵng, đang tập trung phát triển nguồn lực chất lượng cao, đặc biệt trong các ngành STEM với trên 50% số sinh viên hiện nay đang theo học các nhóm ngành thuộc STEM, trong đó có ngành vi mạch bán dẫn, trí tuệ nhân tạo và quang tử. Đồng thời, chúng tôi đang đẩy mạnh nghiên cứu khoa học và chuyển giao công nghệ theo tinh thần nghị quyết số 57 của Bộ Chính trị. Chúng tôi cam kết sẽ tiếp tục đồng hành cùng thành phố Đà Nẵng, cùng các doanh nghiệp, các tổ chức trong và ngoài nước để tiến tới xây dựng hệ sinh thái vi mạch bán dẫn một cách vững mạnh, đưa Đà Nẵng sớm trở thành điểm sáng trên bản đồ công nghệ Việt Nam và thế giới. Nhân dịp này, tôi thay mặt cho lãnh đạo Đại học Đà Nẵng trân trọng cảm ơn các đơn vị đã đồng hành tổ chức. Cảm ơn Quỹ VinFuture cùng các nhà khoa học, các diễn giả và quý vị tham gia hội thảo này. Chúc cho hội thảo của chúng ta thành công tốt đẹp. Xin được trân trọng cảm ơn.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Lê Thành Bắc, for your opening remarks. Distinguished leaders, esteemed delegates, ladies and gentlemen, this morning's seminar, Platform Technologies for Future Society, the Convergence of Electronics and Photonics, is organized in collaboration with the VinFuture Foundation. Established on International Human Solidarity Day, December 20th, 2020, the VinFuture Foundation carries the mission of honoring and promoting groundbreaking scientific research and technological inventions with the vision of creating meaningful changes in the daily life of millions of people. The VinFuture Prize, the first international science and technology award initiated by the Vietnamese, has now become one of the most prestigious annual awards in the world. So it is now our great honor to respectfully introduce and invite Dr. Lê Thái Hà, Managing Director of the VinFuture Foundation, to the stage to deliver her remarks. Please welcome.
Associate Professor Vũ Hải Quân, Member Party Central Committee, President of Vietnam National University, Ho Chi Minh City, Mr. Nguyen Minh Chiết, alternate member of Party Central Committee, Deputy Secretary of the Da Nang City Party Member Committee, and the Chairman of City People Committee of Da Nang, His Excellency Mr. Mark Knapper, Ambassador of the United States of America to Vietnam, distinguished leaders, delegates, and esteemed guests. It is my great pleasure to represent the VinFuture Foundations at today's InnovaConnect conference held within the framework of Danang Semiconductor Day 2025. VinFuture is truly delighted to co-host this meaningful event with the People's Committee of Da Nang, the Center Policy and Strategy Committee, and the University of Da Nang. Da Nang is the first locality in Vietnam to dedicate a special day to the semiconductor industry. In just 1 year, the city ecosystem has grown from 8 initial design companies to 25 enterprises, attracting many major technology corporations, both domestically and internationally. In terms of workforce training, 8 universities and colleges have launched the semiconductor programs, expecting over 1,000 students in 2025. In addition, advanced laboratories such as the VSAP, LabFab, valued at more than 1,008 billion Vietnamese dong, are being built, highlighting the city, visions, and ambition in this strategic field. At VinFuture Foundations, we fully share this vision. Established on the International Human Solidarity Day, December 2020, the foundation carries the missions of honoring and promoting breakthrough scientific research and technological innovations that can bring meaningful changes to the lives of millions, even billions of people worldwide. The VinFuture Prize, now one of the most prestigious annual science technology awards globally, stand as a testament to this commitment and to Vietnam's aspiration to contribute to global scientific advancement. InnovaConnect is one of VinFuture's foundation's flagship initiatives to realize this mission. First launched in Hanoi in 2024 and expanded nationwide from 2025 this year, the series of conferences has created a platform for economic exchange, multidimensional dialogue, and strategic collaborations, bridging knowledge to knowledge, research to applications, and ideas to real-world impact. And today's theme, enabling platform technologies for a future society, the convergence of electronics and photonics, is both timely and strategic. The semiconductors and photonics are two core technologies that form the foundations of digital transformation and the fourth industrial revolutions. From the artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and high-speed communications to smart manufacturing, these fields are shaping the digital infrastructures and the future of global socio-economic development. Vietnam has many advantages to actively participate in this process: a young and dynamic workforce, strong government commitment, and increasingly deep partnership with international partners. We believe that Vietnam can not only become an important link, but even a driving force in the regional and global semiconductor value chain. Through the InnovaConnect in Danang, VinFuture Foundation seeks to provide a valuable platform that brings together leading global scientists and experts with Vietnamese university, research institutions, and businesses. We hope this exchange will spark the new ideas, accelerate the knowledge transfer, and open up many opportunities for strategic collaborations. Distinguished guests, the challenges of our time, from digital transformation to sustainable development, demand global collaborations and bold scientific leadership. The story of semiconductors and photonics is not only about technology, it's about people as well, about creating the opportunities for future generations, bridging divide, and building a fairer and more sustainable future for all. On behalf of the VinFuture Foundations, I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to the leadership of Danang, our institutional partner, distinguished experts, and all of you for being here today. We look forward to continuing this shared journey with you all in building a future where science and technology truly serve humanity. I wish you health and I wish the conference great success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lê Thái Hà, for your opening remarks. Distinguished guests, esteemed leaders, ladies and gentlemen. As the next segment of our program, we respectfully invite all of you to turn your attention to the screen to watch a short video introducing the speakers who will be representing today. Please welcome.
Vietnam and the world are entering a new phase of rapid development driven by the Fourth Industrial Revolution, where automated and intelligent systems are being widely adopted across industries and everyday life. Digital transformation is accelerating across all sectors, powered by automation based on artificial intelligence at all levels. In the context of the semiconductor industry being identified by the government of Vietnam as a strategic sector, the Danang People's Committee, in collaboration with the Central Policy and Strategy Commission, the VinFuture Foundation, and the University of Danang, is organizing InnovaConnect 2025 under the theme Enabling Platform Technologies for a Future Society, the Convergence of Electronics and Photonics. The event takes place within the framework of Nang Semiconductor Day 2025, part of Danang Finance and Technology Week 2025, a national initiative affirming Vietnam's position in the global semiconductor industry. Joining the session is Dr. Tatsuro Maeda, Research Manager at the National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology, AIST, Japan. He has dedicated over 25 years to advancing global semiconductor research, from earning his PhD in materials science from the Tokyo Institute of Technology in 1996 to joining AIST in 2001. His research has then focused on high-performance, low-power CMOS using nanosheet and multi-stacked architectures, as well as heterogeneous integration of post-silicon materials such as SiGe, GE, and 3,5 compounds. Author and co-author of more than 100 publications and patents, his contributions have significantly shaped the future of nanoelectronics. Joining him on the panel is Dr. Shu Namiki, Assistant Director General of the Department of Electronics and Manufacturing at AIST, Japan. He developed award-winning high-power pump lasers, invented the multi-wavelength pumped fiber Raman amplifier. He has also led national-scale projects such as Victories, collaborating with 10 telecom companies. Co-authored over 700 publications, patents, and book chapters, Dr. Namiki is a Fellow of Optica and IEEE and recipient of the IEICE Achievement Award in 2020 and AIST President Award later in 2024. InnovaConnect 2025 also welcomes the presence of Associate Professor Tan Hung Nguyen, who is Acting Vice Director of the University of Danang Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. After earning his PhD in University of Electrocommunications, Tokyo in 2012, he was a researcher at AIST, where he advanced ultra-fast and spectrally efficient photonic network technologies and developed a highly cascadable optical wavelength converter until 2016. His current research continues to explore photonic technologies, driving next-generation communications and computing. He has authored or co-authored more than 150 journal and conference papers and patents, and since 2017 has contributed to Vietnam's research ecosystem through NAFOSted scientific committees. Also joining the panel is an expert with nearly 30 years in the semiconductor industry, Dr. Quang-Dam, the General Director of Marvell Technology Vietnam. His career journey has spanned from Miranda Technologies to Senior Video System Architect at Genom, Senior Director at ATI Technologies, later acquired by AMD, to Senior Principal Scientist at Broadcom, and today leading Marvell Vietnam. With strong passion for system architecture, signal processing, and artificial intelligence, Dr. Lei represents the unique bridge between world-class academic research and real-world industry breakthroughs. The session also welcomes Ms. Bich-Yen Nguyen, Senior Fellow at Soitec, USA. She was a Senior Manager at Freescale and Motorola, where she led breakthroughs in advanced materials and CMOs, with her patents and licensing contributing over $1 billion in revenue. Since joining Soitec in 2007, she has driven advances in digital RF SOI technologies and 2.5D 3D stacking using SmartCut. Holder of more than 200 patents and co-author of over 350 technical publications, she has been honored with the Motorola Dan Noble Fellow Award in 2001, IEEE Fellow in 2020, and the prestigious IEEE Frederick Phillips Award in 2024. Also speaking at the session is the President of SEMI Southeast Asia, Ms. Linda Tan. She rejoined SEMI in November 2021 as Regional President after 6 years as Director of Event Operations, where she played a pivotal role in expanding SEMICON Southeast Asia, the region's leading semiconductor and microelectronics event, from Singapore to Penang, 2015, and Kuala Lumpur, 2018. With her extensive industry experience, she not only drives the region's semiconductor growth, but also champions gender equity and leadership and inspires graduates to pursue careers in engineering. Don't miss the opportunity to explore the progress and challenges in transitioning into the future society with electronics and phonics. Join us in the upcoming InnovaConnect event on Enabling Platform Technologies for a Future Society, the Convergence of Electronics and Photonics.
Distinguished leaders and esteemed delegates, it's now time to begin our conference today. To begin this morning's seminar topic, we will now move on to the presentation on technological trends and silicon photonics for the future digital infrastructure. So it is now our great honor to respectfully invite Dr. Shu Namiki, Assistant Director General, Department of Electronics and Manufacturing, National Institute of Industrial Science and Technology, Japan, to the stage to deliver his presentation. Please have a big round of applause.
Well, thank you very much, kind introduction. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm Shu Namiki. I'm from AIST, Japan. And first, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to the organizers of such a great event, and as well as the VinFuture Foundation, and also Professor Nguyen Tan Han of Danang University of Danang for inviting me to Vietnam. Actually, this is my first time to visit Vietnam. I'm so excited. And also, it's really my great pleasure and honor to give a talk at such a great, occasion as this Semiconductor Day 2025, and sharing with you our perspectives and activities for future photonics. So my title today is actually the technological trends and the silicon photonics for the future digital infrastructure. With which I'm going to share with you some sort of the big picture, why we want to go with the silicon photonics for the future. But before that, let me take this opportunity to introduce what is AIST. So the AIST stands for the National Institute of Advanced Industrial Science and Technology, which is one of the three specified national R&D agencies in Japan. And AIST is actually the largest research institute of Japan under Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry. So the mission is to bridge the fundamental research to industry rather than just focusing on the fundamental research alone. And the total budget was 145 billion yen in fiscal year 2023. The total number of employees of AIST is about 12,000, including 2,200 independent researchers. The research bases of AIST are located all across the country, as shown in the middle bottom of the figure. And then the research fields actually ranges over a wide variety of the fields, such as from energy and environment, life science and biotechnology, information technology and human factors, materials and chemistry, quantum and AI, and meteorology, geological survey, and electronics and manufacturing. And the Department of Electronics and Manufacturing is the department that I am belonging to, and where we are conducting the semiconductor R&D and the photonics R&D activities. Okay, so let me begin with my substantial content of my talk. So first, I'd like to begin with reviewing the historical trends of technology and pointing out that we are in the middle of the transition period in the context of the evolution of optical networking. And then I would like to discuss the two bottlenecks for scaling, and then identify the opportunities and impact of silicon photonics. And quickly, I'd like to introduce our activities about silicon photonics switch technologies, and then conclude my talk. Okay, so let me begin with this graph. So this graph plots the total power consumption of a data center against the years to come. So the power consumption of a data center is expected to exponentially increase, and so does the global data. So this is not just a coincidence, because at the end of the Moore's law, whenever you want to increase the computation power, you need to increase power because of the end of the Moore's law. Okay, so this relationship is not just a coincidence, and we really needed to do something for realizing the sustainable future to come. And on top of it, we are witnessing the sudden rise of the generative AI, which really urges us to further scale the computation power as an infrastructure. So the number of parameters of a large language model is soaring, far much beyond the that is of the Moore's law. And so in order to cope with such a huge the AI model with a huge, the data to train, we really needed to realize or deploy the unprecedentedly large, huge scale parallel computing. And that is actually happening all over the world currently, and in which, we need to realize the unprecedentedly massive data transfers between the XPUs, and that is now becoming the bottleneck. And the photonics are really expected to resolve this bottleneck. That's the main topic of my talk today. So let us ask quite a fundamental question. In the very beginning, in the first place, why do we need photonics at all? Because all data are processed electrically. Why do we need to bother, to convert from electrical signals to photonic signal? The reason is quite simple, because optical signals behave fundamentally different. The optical signals are free from dielectric loss or distance bandwidth trade-off, which is given by the Mother Nature's law, right? So you can never change this one. But in order to convert electrical signal to optical, you need to apply some sort of overhead. So as can be seen from the right bottom graph, there is the break-even point at which optical signals are preferred. Okay, so and then the break-even point, it depends on the bandwidth, because the higher the bandwidth, you have a much more dielectric loss suffered by the electrical signal transmission. So the higher the bandwidth, the shorter distance optical signals are preferred for. So taking this into account, let us take a look at the historical evolution of optical communications, and from which we can find we are in the middle of a transition period. So here, this left bottom graph shows the vertical axis is the required bandwidth over the capacity of the data transfer against the horizontal axis of distance. And empirically, you can draw a line to divide. Either you may want to go to the optical signals or electrical signals. That is roughly empirically 100 gigabit per second times meter. And then, if we look at the evolution of the optical communication, it was first commercialized for long-haul telephone back in 1980s, because when we don't have much of the bandwidth required. Right, and then, after the internet came along and the cloud services disseminating, and then, the data centers were built, and the required bandwidth exceeds 100 gigabit per second. So the optical telecommunications widely apply to data communications in hyperscale data centers. And now, partly because of the sudden rise of the generative AI, the required bandwidths are now soaring and increasing unprecedentedly at higher level, such that even the transmissions or data transfer inside a computer may have to be photonic rather than electronic. So from which we can see, we are now in the transition period, and now we are entering the era of photonics electronics convergence. And so this means that the bulky optical components has to be placed in a very narrow spaces, such as computer or the near the computer chips. So we need photonic integrated circuit technology in order to do that. So that's why silicon photonics attracting a lot of attention these days. And also the co-packaging, with a silicon photonics chip has to be co-integrated with the LSIs. But not just the hardware aspect, but also because of the end of the Moore's law, we need to really redress and rediscover what would be the optimal, the computing architecture is. So the software aspect becomes more and more important. So the keywords such as disaggregation or virtualization or automation, those will come together with the development of the hardware, and then you will create a sustainable future. And then what comes next is not just the data transfer, but the switching may have to be optical because of the sustainable reason as well. And eventually a little bit of futuristic view, but some part of the computing process itself would be better go with the optical, such as optical neural networks or quantum computing. Okay, so back to the bottlenecks. So the sudden rise of generative AI, unveils. We knew this bottlenecks would come, but the rise of generative AI really accelerated and suddenly unveils the twofold bottlenecks here. One is the I/O bottleneck, which I previously discussed, because the electrical I/O is more limited in reach for higher bandwidth. And the second bottleneck comes right after you overcome the I/O bottleneck. That is a switch bottleneck, because the number of switch elements scales quadratically to the number of I/O devices. So these are twofold bottlenecks, and we really have to address what are we going to do with these two bottlenecks for the future. So let's discuss the bottlenecks each one by one. The first I/O bottlenecks that are expected to be overcome by so-called co-packaged optics. The idea is quite simple. Conventionally, we have an optical transceiver located on the edge of the circuit board, and the LSIs located in the middle of the board. So between them, we have electrical wiring, and because they increased bandwidth, this electrical wiring consumes a lot of energy, and this is now becoming the bottleneck. So the simple idea is, why don't we just eliminate this electrical wiring by locating the optical transceiver just on the foot of the LSI? But in order to do that, you need to make the optical transceiver be chips, right? And then just like on the right-hand bottom side of the slides, we need optical transceiver chips. And the silicon photonics came along, and this is now becoming mature and mature these days. And it's really a promising device platform to make the optical transceiver a chip rather than bulky box. And I don't have much time to go through what is the silicon photonics in detail, but silicon photonics has a very good features from all the aspects of optical, electrical, mechanical, and even economical, because it totally relies on the seamless ecosystem, but it's of silicon photonics. So if you look at the silicon photonics foundries, available around the world, so we see several, the foundries are already in service. So the silicon photonics ecosystem is being built, and it's getting ready for the wide use for the society. And more importantly, we have foundries for R&D and prototypes and mass production. They are, somehow distributed with a very nice balance. So I'm saying that the ecosystem of silicon photonics is now really being built and getting ready for the mass production. And as a matter of fact, there are several companies already utilizing this foundry ecosystem to release the optical transceiver chip prototypes as listed here. I don't have much time to go into the details, but these are the companies with enough data, data such that I can, fill out this table. But these are not the only companies. There are several other companies as well, but I just couldn't find the detail. So but you can see, the big, the chip players and also, startup companies all came along and then, developing and releasing the prototype of silicon photonic chip good for the co-packaged optics. And because they are relying on the same technology, they're using a pretty much common foundry. So they end up with a pretty sort of a similar or comparable performances, especially in terms of the energy per bit, which is the overhead for the OEEO conversion. And that has to be lower than 10 picojoule per bit. That is what is said. But, with the silicon photonic technology, all of them have achieved or even below this requirement. So I'd say, silicon photonics is really taking off right now. So once you have given this silicon photonic chip, and then you are supposed to co-package such a photonic chip into the electronic chips. Right, but this requires very novel and advanced packaging technology, and you have to really develop or invent something because we never had optical chips inside LSI. But so people are now they're defining the roadmap from which you can start with easier the levels and then getting higher and higher and more scalable things. But one thing I would like to emphasize here is there is a discontinuous line change in terms of the final products. So first we're gonna sell the optical chip as optical transceiver, so independent products. But if you want to make the performance better and better, and then you may want to bring the photonic chip as close as possible to the LSI, and then you needed to embed the photonic chips inside the package of the LSI. So at certain point, we begin to see those devices sold as not the optical transceiver independently, but it's sold as a high-end logic chip with both photonic and electric IOs. So in order to do that, I would say, we need to undergo a structural change in terms of the value chain of electronics and the photonics, because the electronics industry and the photonic industry used to be independent of each other, but after the photonics and electronics convergence, they have to get merged, and then somehow we have to learn how to handle these the exotic technologies to each other. Okay, so the second bottleneck I'm going to discuss is the switch bottlenecks that are to be expected to be overcome by optical switches, because optical switch operates at extremely low energy as compared with electrical switches. First, it's qualitatively different in the sense that the energy consumption of the optical switches depends on the port count rather than throughput. Okay, so on your right-hand side, we have a power consumption versus throughput, and here's a plotted those of the ASIC chip only. So as you see, if you want to increase the throughput, and then you end up with the higher power consumption. And so this suggests that this technology is not really sustainable for forever. Right? But if you look at the optical switches, and actually Google has already commercialized their own optical switches based on the MEMS technology, and they massively deployed all over the data centers of their own, and operated for more than several years. And also AIST is now developing the silicon photonic switch technology here, but both of them consumes extremely low energy as compared with the electrical switches. And so because the optical switch, the power consumption doesn't depend on the throughput. So if we compare at the throughput of 100 terabit per second, and then we already find that the optical switch is 100 times more power efficient than electrical switches. And not only the low energy consumption, but also optical switches offer extremely low latency because the optical signals are just passing through the optical switches at the speed of light without store and forward processes. So this immediately leads to the shortcomings of the optical switches, that is incapability of packet processing. So optical switches can only offer the circuit switching. So the optical switch will never replace all of the electrical switches, but at most they can offload them, right? So then the question is to how and to what extent. And in here, you really needed to think about how you build the overall system, or the architecture is going to be the problem. So you come up with a smarter architecture to utilize more of the optical switches, and then the less you may end up with the consuming energy. So here's one of the example, quite unique, but AIST has been working, how much energy we can, save with introducing the optical switches. And this is one of the examples. but we are proposing what we call optically composable disaggregated computing. And if you use the optical switches, and then you can save the power consumption of the switch part by 75%. And as I said, Google has already commercialized similar technologies based on their own optical switches. But here, I'm taking this opportunity, I'd like to introduce AIST's silicon photonic switch technology just quickly. So it's a completely mass-producible technology because we are using CMOS, 100% CMOS compatible processes. And we have succeeded in developing a 32 by 32 strictly non-blocking thermal optics switches. And this is realized by our AIST's in-house pilot line with a 45 nanometer CMOS processes based on 300 millimeter wafer using ARF immersive lithography. And we have also developed the packaging technology with a full digital control. And we have succeeded in demonstrating the full operation of a microsecond switching with this technology. Okay, so the picture doesn't show well, but this is just a quick notice that such, the large scale silicon photonic chip with a lot of Maeda interferometers are readily, suitable for applying to the neural networks and quantum processing. And we proposed this original scheme in which we can see realize the very high recognition accuracies. And because it's a highly integrated circuit, so it operates very in a stable manner if you operate some of the quantum processing such as quantum walk. Okay, so time is up. So here's my conclusion. I wouldn't repeat what I said, but kind of long story, cut the long story short. As a takeaway, I hope I convince you that we will have no choice but to leverage the immense potential of photonics anyhow, because photonics is the only key to unleash the data increase from the energy increase in the post-Moore's law era. Yeah, that's with this, I'd like to finish my talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Namiki, for your presentation. Continuing with our program, we will now listen to the presentation on the topic, From Transistor to Intelligence, the emerging role of advanced packaging and photonic integration in the AI era. It is now our great pleasure to respectfully invite Ms. Bich-Yen Nguyen, Senior Fellow of Soitec USA, to the stage to deliver her presentation. Please welcome.
Hello, can you hear me? Xin kính chào quý lãnh đạo, quý vị quan khách. Good morning, distinguished speaker and His Excellency Mark Knapper, the Ambassador of the United States, and all the distinguished guests and scientists today. I'm truly honored to be here, and today I will present you the topic on the transistor to the intelligence and the emerging roles of the advanced packaging and the photonic integration. It already well covered from the previous speaker in the AI era. So as you see here, we already enter the artificial intelligence, which is transforming our daily life. So you see we enter into the content creation, that it offers the new tool and It would change the way we live our life from the virtual assistant on our daily activity, smart mobility for automotive, that improving the safety and the efficiency, and wearable and the hearable that deliver the personal aid, and it helped to overcome the disability. The healthcare and the life science, it helped to preventing the disease and that prolong the people life and the healthy life. The climate research, security, and especially the industry 4.0. It really improved the manufacturing efficiency, and it also more sustainability for the green environmental. The technology, it has been improving and make it our life and the energy saving. So in order to do all that, it really empowered by the semiconductor, it's shown here in this slide. Semiconductors are the backbone of all the modern electronics, from the telecommunication, the transportation, and the medical device. They form the invisible foundation of, and then today, AI and electronic gadgets, it has been reshaped how we live our life and how we work. So the exciting thing is shown here, especially this decade from the 2021 and the 2030. So the revenue of the semiconductor in the 75-year history of the transistor, you see it takes 66 years to reach a 500 billion revenue. However, this decade, in 2021 to 30, it doubled the revenue to over $1 trillion, the highest growth rate in the semiconductor industry. The exciting thing that this week, I got the college who working on the market analysis. He told me that I thought that this number might be overestimate, but he confirmed with me the latest data. I cannot be sure, but the latest data, he said the revenue of the semiconductor in 2025 already reached 600 billion. So the new forecast, it could be go up 1.3 trillion by 2030. So it's a lot of exciting thing coming in, and it mainly driven by 3 applications. First, the electric car for more sustainability, for green environmental. So 30% of the revenue, it go to automotive, and we heard about it, the artificial intelligence. 50% of the overall semiconductor market growth from 2025 to 2030, it will be driven by generative AI until 2030. And the upcoming technology, quite very exciting, is quantum computing. 5 years ago, you asked me about quantum computing. I kind of wait and see, not that optimistic. But lately have fortunate to work with scientists in Europe, and I have a more optimistic. I think it might be coming quickly, maybe in 5 years. Yeah. And this is just a show up to see it's going to be more than 100 million cars, at least to have a level 3 autonomous driving. So more the improving in the autonomous driving, at least it improving the safety for the transportation. And the automotive car, it's electric car, 30% bill of material will be the electronic. That way all the top. And also on the smartphone. So if we buy the smartphone, we pay about $1,000. It $300, nearly $400. It belongs to the semiconductor, the electronic. That's why the revenue rose in the next 5 years. And you see here, in order to meet that demand, more than 100 fabs. It had been built since 2025, and by 2027. So with the 100 fab building and will be complete, it will be demanding for 1 million new jobs. So exciting for the engineer, the scientist in the microelectronic or even in the science. And I mentioned earlier, it's 100 billion investment in the semiconductor to capture the high revenue role. So I go to the long introduction, and now I would like to talking about the transistor a bit more technical. Transistor is scaling, how it enabling the exciting microelectronic, exciting AI, and I go beyond the Moore law, and we're talking about the heterogeneous iteration. The photonic, it already covered very well with the first speaker, and we have at least 2 more speakers talking about photonics. So I would like to keep this part and discuss in the panel discussion. If there is a question, then I will wrap up my talk. So transistor scaling, the story beginning in the 1947. The transistor on the germanium semiconductor were coming out, and from the Bell Lab, the most famous semiconductor lab by then in US. Then in 2058, the first IC circuit, it also invented by Texas Instruments from Texas, that's where I come from. And then in 61, it's the first planar IC circuit. It also were born in California by Fairchild. The story began with that one. And then since then, back in the 1965, and there is 2 laws. It were proposed in order to scale the transistor. That's how we got it today. It's the Moore law from Intel. He proposed that the number of transistors per chip or per area will be double every 2 years. The driving force for this law is to improving the performance, the higher packaging density, more functionality. That's why we see all the advancing in microelectronics. And the most important, the economy reason, if we can lower the cost per transistor. And then another law, how to scale the transistor. So you see here the biggest one and then the smallest one. We call the Robert Danang law. He from IBM. And the Danang law say every generation, the physical dimension of the transistor as well as the operation voltage will be reduced by the factor of 30% smaller. With that is the way you can double the number of transistors to support the Moore law, to have a more transistor per area and then cut the cost down and also reducing the supply voltage so we can get the lower power. So here show the beginning in 1964, Moore, it published the paper and it showed the 4 data points. It doubled the transistor. Actually, he want double transistor every year, but it did overestimate it. Then the latest one is every 2 years. And on the right-hand side, that is the actual number of transistors per chip in the processor. So the actual is about 1.73 for every 3 years. So that is the rate of the small law. To follow that one, the Danang law, it shows in the 2 different scaling from 130 to 90 and 90 to 65 by the AMD microprocessor. And you see that it actually the chip, it also go down, not quite 50%, but it's about 40 to 45% for every generation down to 65. The semiconductor process, if you see here, it's the IC manufacturing using the frequency deposition patterning and to define the pattern of the conductive layer and the isolation number. And we go through that. So when I start to work in semiconductor with 16-bit and only a few transistors, and we need only 4 masking layer. But today, to give you that, for 3 nanometer, we have more than 100 cycles like this. That's why the cost is no longer cheaper, but it still follow the robot, the Moore law, still alive, but it slow down. So this is just demonstrate the complexity to build a semiconductor. You see from the 60 to the 2020. So past the 90 nanometer, the year of the 90 to the 2000, you see to make the IC circuit, it become more complicated. And on the top left graph, it shows how much it costs to design the IC circuit. So for 5 nanometer, you see $500 million to do the 5 nanometer. And if we want to design 3 nanometer, I heard the cost is nearly 1 billion. Actually, the 940 million to design the 3 nanometer chip. Another complexity to see, it's not only the circuit, it's really the words, the chemistry and the material. It's not only the solid state. So you see the periodic table from the 80 to 90 and 90 to 2000. At the beginning, we only have about 9 elements to use to make the transistor and the IC circuit. But and then the number of the element, it had to be more. Especially you see on the year of the 2000, that near to the slowdown of the calendar transistor, you see a lot of more element, a lot of more innovation. It starts from the 2000 until today. So just quickly demonstrate all the complexity in making the circuit. And you heard about the EUV. So the EUV is the most advanced lithography tool, enabling for 5 nanometer transistor. And the cost of the EUV is over like $150 million per equipment. That make it. And why a transistor is no longer simple, like I showed you earlier, the gate, the planar gate, and the sort and drain. So on the left-hand side, it shows you at the technology scaling, that's called the gate length. It becomes smaller. You have to introduce much more doping to be able to keep the transistor working and the lower liquid. With that one, you see that when the gate becomes smaller, you get more liquid from one side to the other one, short to drain. So the power consumption is increased. And on the right-hand side, it shows the difficulty. When you increase the doping, you decrease the performance, the comobility, and you also increase the random doping effect. It makes the threshold voltage, the voltage to turn on and turn off the device, it varies a lot. So that makes the demanding for the big innovation. That means that traditional transistor now had to change. So they go to the another generation. You see it today at the 16 nanometer on the far hand side, they call the FinFET 3D device. So we go from 2D to 3D, but there is the opportunity. The CMOS cannot go to only one type of transistor. So another transistor is to keep it planar to minimize the design disruption, and you still have a full gate control, and you can scale this transistor. You reuse all the technology in the previous generation. So the middle one is called the planar fully depleted SOI device. And the substrates, it invented the technology by Soitec, the company I'm working with them. And so we have two different platforms, the planar fully depleted and the FinFET, this enabling the transistor scale down to today, it's a 2 nanometer. So here it shows the roadmap of the fully depleted device. It also come to the mainstream. And this device is very feasible if you talking about the AI, the wearable, the portable device. It's not only the performance, the power consumption is very important. So with that one, the planar fully depleted SOI give you the smallest liquid for you to get the low standby power to prolong the battery life. The roadmap of the planar fully depleted SOI is suitable for SOI for the ultra low power digital and for mobile and communication. Because when you go to your phone now, it had to be always connect, and the RF device consume a lot of power. So you choose the transistor with high performance but low power is critical, and for automotive, because it's the silicon isolated by the oxide, because silicon on the insulator, with that it improves the reliability. So with that, it widely adopted for automotive and the industry. The FinFET, this is the 3D device. So it goes from 2D into the 3D. It increases complexity, but it really gives you the advantage. It's the ultra high performance and the high density. It's that enabling for fastest microprocessor and the GPU done by NVIDIA, and then the memory, with that, it enabling the AI. So you see earlier the planar transistor, very simple, the gate, the short and the range. Now you see the 3D device, and it becomes the more color and the more layer, and it implicated to the complexity. That's where all the cost it comes from. So this is just the cross section of the transistor go down with the time. You see every generation with no longer, that is the reason why you see more new material come in, more expensive equipment. So two different device architecture, we have two different platforms. Depend on the application, you can choose in that part. So in the last 60 years, the Moore law have been enabling 1 million times, the transistor 1 million times smaller, it's 3,500 times better performance, 60,000 times lower the cost, and 90,000 times more energy efficiency. So amazing it, I think that you know this car, it's the Volkswagen Beetle, and I think that is the first car I have when I was a student. And if the automotive can scale all the parameters the same way the semiconductor have been pushed the technology, so today we can have more affordable, high density, the fastest performance, enabling the AI. If the car can do the same, you can say the car can go 300,000 miles per hour. They cost only 4 cents per car. And it's 2 million miles for 1 gallon. So you don't have to fuel the gasoline. So it truly is more sustainable if the car industry can do the same thing the semiconductor did. I showed it up to see how tough, exciting, but tough to be work in the semiconductor. Yeah. So now I'm talking about 3D transistor, now at the system level. In the past, we had to do the fastest technology co-optimization. now the transistor become more expensive. I said the 3 nanometer transistor, the wafer cost, complete wafer cost, is about $30,000. And if you make that with 28 nanometer, the wafer cost may be about $3,000. So should you move the device or the circuit, it cannot take the advantage of the 5 nano or 7 nano and pay 30,000 to make the analog device. Actually, or the RF device, actually you're going to compromise the performance and the power. So the heterogeneous integration is the mix and match approach. So with that one, you can see in here, the more low and more than more. And the heterogeneous integration is 2.5D and the 3D. So the red arrow show that is the digital scaling of the transistor. And in the blue one, it's the more than more. That means where the analog RF passive device or the device on the blue column, it not take the benefit. The scaling of the device limit by the nature of the transistor and the circuit requirement. So you still be able to, you cannot scale this device beyond maybe 40 or 28 nanometer. So combine the more than more and more law together by heterogeneous integration, advanced packaging that enabling you to optimize the system at the most cost-effective way. So it's the second reason to say, just make it very quick. If you scale the device after, I'd say the 2000, that the circuit become more complicated, transistor needs a lot of more new facet, new material. So it shows here after the 40 nanometer, the impact of the scaling start to low down and then diminish it. So you only can calculate transistor to get the density. That means more transistor. You can have more CPU, GPU in the single system, so you can meet the demanding of the AI, but not the cost. So the heterogeneous integration, it give you another degree of freedom to achieve the system at the most cost effective by optimize. Instead of make all in the corner monolithic, you choose one CMOS technology, you make all the component digital, analog, RF, IO device using the single technology we call monolithic. And we go to the right-hand side called chiplet, the mid of the technology. That's where you segmented the chip into the component, the IO device, and the digital, and the analog, and the RF. So you can optimize a single chiplet with the right technology. And when if you need to make it complex, more new material, you only pay, it works for it. And the other circuit, you can keep it simple. And the advanced packaging, how you put all the chip together, and the form factor, not much bigger than a system on the chip, like the monolithic on the right-hand side. So that opened up an opportunity for more innovation. You can reduce in the cost by optimize, and you can put the chip together and reuse in the IP. So there is a lot of benefit. I will show it to you later. It show them in here. The green one is called the lip chip. That is the advance of the conventional packaging. And if you go to SoC, the yellow line, that's where the system on the chip. So you see that, of course, the interconnect density is much better. And then you see the blue line and the red line, that two different kinds of the advanced packaging. So by improving the advanced packaging, the integration of advanced packaging, you see the red line, the 3D stacking advanced packaging, you see they can meet the interconnect density, the same like system on the chip. That really the exciting time. Yeah. So here come the AMD. With using the advanced packaging, it's really AMD came behind from Intel many years ago when Intel have an advanced transistor at the FinFET, and AMD cannot have that type of advanced device because the foundry, it have a FinFET one generation later. AMD lagged behind the performance compared to the Intel, but thanks for the advanced packaging, AMD can connect all the chiplet together and be able to have the cost effective and gain the performance and time to the market. And AMD regained the leadership that due to the advanced packaging. You see 3x more the memory, the LG cap. It's 66% more the simulation job, more functionality, and the 200 times more the interconnect density, and the 50% more higher the density compared to the traditional. But the key thing is the time to market. Intel is not lag behind. So in here, you see Intel show the performance by improving the advanced packaging. It's called the bump pitch. That means you put the connection as small and compact as possible. So by reducing from 55 micron bump pitch down to the most advanced one, it's using for the latest one, they call the bump pitch of the 10 micron. You see it using a new facet in the advanced packaging, they call the direct copper to copper bonding. So that's the most advanced one. And actually, this is the reuse technology from the front end. It's not new, but we learned in the front end technology, put in the back end, and you'll be able to gain. So it opened up a lot of opportunity for innovation in the back end. So in here, it just captured for monolithic. I just go very quick. You see a lot of innovation from material equipment in order to bring the latest chip at about 1 trillion transistor or 100 billion transistor. And using the heterogeneous or advanced iteration 2.5D and 3D, and start with the simple advanced packaging and enabling it more complexity, move from 2.5D to 3D, you can get 1 trillion transistor. So you still pay the cost of the monolithic like 5 nano or 3 nano, but you can have a 10 times more the transistor and the cost more effective. And the advanced packaging, it still have a lot of opportunity for more innovation. You see on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, you see they start to stack more layer. So they put the chip not only on top of the interposer, but they put the chip on the other side of interposer and then put on the substrate. They put the power supply in not only one power supply cross over the chip to deliver to the circuit, they now can segment the power supply and put on the back of the chip, and so you can redo the IR. That's where all the performance gain by using the advanced packaging. And there were I like this slide from IMEC. They say a view of the different possibility and the feature. For me, it's the opportunity for innovation. So for the scientist, you want to accept the challenge and put the limit and make the impossible and become a possible. So I keep the photonics because we run out of time. It already go to it, but you see even the photonics, you also put them on the packet. So it's still at the end, the packaging is very important for all the application. And the takeaway, I have it. The semiconductor device will require material, facet, chemistry, and equipment. You have to go across the value chain to take the improvement so we can have a fast time to market, the most cost effective. And the CMOS scaling and the complexity of the SoC are encountered a significant challenge, and it more, a lot of more limitation. So to achieve the faster time to the market, lower cost, the 2.5D heterogeneous integration provide the necessary additional scaling domain and great innovation and collaboration. It needs to be go together, work together to achieve, to overcome all the challenge and to achieve the best result. We need the teamwork, the collaboration with discipline in the semiconductor field. So innovation and collaboration. And for me, the opportunity for Vietnam in the advanced packaging, like I showed earlier, advanced packaging is not a low tech. It's affordable, but it can be another tool to improve the performance, the density, and the time to market. So the opportunity to come into this field to secure the position in the global semiconductor, and it could invest in the advanced packaging. The investment in advanced packaging at least 10 times or 20 times lower than invest in the front end, but give you a lot of opportunity to be a leader in this field. And especially to the AI and the high performance packaging data center, it will be demand for the advanced packaging. So the world said the advanced packaging is a must, it's not an option. So this is the opportunity for Vietnam. And chiplet design, I think that reusing the IP is another opportunity for Vietnam. With that, I would like to end my talk and thank you for your.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bich-Yen Nguyen, for your presentation. Distinguished leaders, esteemed delegates, continuing with our program, we will now move to presentation number 3 on the topic of low power, high density photonic interface for artificial intelligence and machine learning. It is our great honor to respectfully invite Associate Professor Vice Director, the Institute of Advanced Science and Technology of University of Danang to the stage to deliver his presentation. Please welcome.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Nguyen Tân Hưng. I'm from the University of Danang. It's my pleasure to present in front of this audience and along with many excellent scientists and researchers. And okay, so I would like to spend some words about myself. I'm a part of Optical Communication Research Group, and our research group, we are working on lightweight technology for high-speed data communication and data communication. So we're also working on photonic interface circuit and silicon photonics for AI and machine learning application, and also explore the powerful of AI and machine learning for photonic circuit design. So our research are funded by VinFuture, Foundation, Maeda, and Danang City. So as a research group, our main output is like publication, and we are running a little bit further for patents. So all of the results come from the hard work of students, and I would like to especially thanks to two of my colleagues, Dr. Lê Thái Sơn from Nokia Labs, and Dr. Trương Cao Dũng from PTIT Vietnam. So this is the content of my talk. I will, first of all, I will talk about the role of fiber optics in today's telecommunication and data communication. And then I will introduce the I/O technology for for AI and machine learning application. And then I will touch a bit about our research in silicon photonics at the University of Danang, because our group, one of the IT research group are working in the field of photonic integration, and then I come to the conclusion. So as many people may not know that fiber optics is made of glass and it's small at the hair, small human hairs, and is now is a champion transmission technology. So in terms of transmit long distance and high capacities. So it said that up to 6 billion kilometers of fiber have been installed globally. So it means the distance is like 40 times distant from the Earth to the sun. So this amount of fibers are now is the connectivity for billion and billion of electronic device and supporting high bandwidth application like video, gaming, cloud computing, IoT that we all see nowadays. So with the exceptional capacity and long reach transmission, so fiber optics is now already infrastructure of today telecom network. So it's a foundation of all kind of network where you connect from continent to continent through transocean network, connecting country to country, city to city, and within the city. And it's also the core network of the wireless network. And also it's connect the data center to each other. This is up to now. And so actually fiber optical communication have a long research history. And people like ourselves are working very hard to improve the capacity and also the reach of the fiber communication. But recently, due to the emerging of AI application, data now entering the data center. Fiber optics now entering the data center for even shorter distance communication. So take a look at the technology for data communication in the data center. So we see that this is the scaling of the technologies. So we see that the Ethernet LAN speed and the computer interconnect speed is scaling like 1.4 for 2 years. Ethernet switch capacity at like 2 times for 2 years. Processors like 3 times for 2 years. And these scale are steady for a long time until the emergence of AI. So AI now is scaled even last like we never see before, like it's like 400 times for 2 years. So this is the problem. And we had to do something on this scale. Very scary. So in order to train the model, AI model, is require AI factories. So what people are normally doing is like to use the traditional cloud data center techniques to apply into the AI factories. So for example, in this case, to build 100K servers, so the power for transceiver go up to from 2.3 million watts to 40 million watts, meaning I/O become the bottleneck of the AI and machine learning cloud cluster. Take a look inside the structure of the AI factory. So there are 2 ways to do scaling. First of all is like scale up and then scale out. Scale up means we connect the GPU, a lot of GPU, all together in one rack, and then connect the rack to each other for the scale out techniques. So in order to do the scale up, with all-to-all connectivity is now using copper. So electronics, I/O interconnects. And this is the bottleneck. So for example, I give you example of the very update, state-of-the-art AI machine. This is GP200 NLV72 from NVIDIA presented at OFC 2025 this year. So in order to connect like 72 GPU with 18 switch, it's required like 5,200 twin axial cables. So this is the huge amount of electrical fiber. Like electrical cable. And then you can see in the pictures that there is no more space to scale. So it's already full of coppers. And the copper now approaching its limit for AI scaling. So in order to overcome this, so we need some techniques, like some future-proof technique for this issue, and the adopt of this for AI scale had already started. For example, in this case, Huawei presented a Cloud Matrix 384 AI content with 384 GPU and connect through almost 7,000 optical modules. So this is a huge amount of modules need to require to establish such kind of big AI factories, big AI machine. And optical fiber is the only way that is future-proof to scale up in the AI domain. So what's the requirement for us to build, to use like set of I/O interconnection for AI? So you can see on the figure that AI no longer the chip, but it's like a machine. This is quite big in size, and also we need to put a lot of data in a small area. So this requires a very extremely high capacity and density into a small place. So there's a few key aspects that we need to consider. The first is about high I/O density that require up to 1 terabit per second per millimeters. It requires low latency. We need to transmit the data with a very short time, less than 1 nanometer. This is the very, very small amount of time that we need to do. And the most important is the low power that should be less than 2 picojoule per bit. And the reach should be like from 1 to 100 meters. So now I will move on some of the technology now, shipping how we implement such an optical interconnect. So let's pick up a standard real-time pluggable optics. So you see that the signal actually need to go a long way from the processing layer through the substrate and the board, and it needs to go up through the case of the pluggable, and then go to the retimer and go to the optics machine. So this is very energy consuming, and it lose the signal dignity. So one way to do is people just remove the retimer for linear pluggable optics, and this is extremely efficient. It's reduced the power by half. That is, I think it's amazing. So there is a speaker at the conference, very famous conference in our field, ECOP 2024, give us some statistics, show that by shipping from DSP optics to linear optics, you can save like $7 billion for 5 years. So it shows that power consumption directly convert into the money. But linear optics have two more issues. First is the signal dignity degradation is still remain, and also the case is quite big. So it's very difficult to put a lot of pluggable foam into small area. So this is the issue, and issue in terms of bandwidth density. So another way, like we remove the case to have that we work a lot right now is for near pluggable optics. And also for CPO is the core optics, meaning we move the optics machine close to the processing layer. So by doing that, we can actually reduce the power consumption from 90 to less than 5. So let's compare two of the state-of-the-art techniques in the I/O optics. Is like we actually can reduce the power consumption by 4, increase the density by 10, and also the signal quality can be improved up to 50 times. So what is actually the material? People are working a lot on photonic integrated circuit, and we actually can do that with different materials. But so why silicon? Because silicon have a very high index contrast. Mean we can transmit the light through a small area, up to submicron and even 500 nanometers. So this is the very unique techniques for integration. Not only is compatible with CMOS, but also we can integrate a lot of device into small area to make the high functionality. That is the key point here. So another thing about silicon photonics is that it had been researched for a while, and then a lot of basic elements have already researched and developed. For example, waveguide, coupler, modulator, polarizers, and even more active device like for the diodes and other things. So silicon photonics is allow high density integration with all the necessary building block into the same platform with high yield. Mean we can save money. So what's the key element is silicon photonics. So there's several like element components here. So first is we can have like a basic component, passive component where we transmit light or coupling light or split light, or even multiplexing. Can multiplex data at different wavelength, or you can even put a little bit flexibility into the device, like putting phase shifter to realize something like amplitude modulators, switch, like and even tunable device, or even more active device like amplification and detectors, like regenerator, laser. So the concept is put all of the components into a small place to rely a photonic integrated circuit. So what's the requirement is we need a high performance and low cost component. It's critical to realize such a circuit. So here I move on some of our research. We are actually actively working on this as a research group. And actually it's very difficult to publish in this domain because it normally require publication showing the characteristic of the device. But for a moment, idea is our strength right now. So we can do like some passive component like light coupling, do multiplexing that we can multiplex signal from different channel into one, or do the multiplexing, or we can do more like high functionality. Like in this case, when we published in the Journal of Selected Topics in Quantum Electronics, to rely a device that you can flexibly convert the optical mode to another mode without interfere the performance of other conversion. Or recently, we demonstrate for the first time the fully non-block in silicon photonic more selective switch. Meaning you can switch the signal easily without blocking. This is very important property to realize the more higher functionality optical switch. And then we can utilize this device and explore further capacity and flexibility of multi-wavelength division multiplexing combined in combination of mode division multiplexing. We also do some kind of networking for optical switch and also on-chip networking. So, so in order to move further for high-density silicon photonics PIC, there's a few challenges. And now we are working with the chip with like thousands of components or even 10,000 of components, like laser detector, modulator, switch, waveguide, and metal wire. So this is very complicated task. And the first thing that you suffer is the poor performance. So in terms of crosstalk, loss, and even impairment, both in optics and electronics. And the second challenge is the variabilities, meaning due to the high index contrast, so the component and the circuit is very sensitive at the nanoscale. So whenever you design something, it may come out with another thing. So the performance will totally change. It's very difficult to control. So, and another challenge is the time. Normally, it takes like 9, 10 to 12 months, and it's require high-level expertise in the field to do such a high integrated silicon photonics. And we need to overcome this. For example, in our case, it takes like 4 PhD students working very hard for 4 or 5 years to come up with the device that I showed you in the previous slide. This is not acceptable in this case of development. So we need further kind of research and innovation in this area to explore how we do the high density PIC design in a faster way. So why don't we use the strong of AI and machine learning to help us for this? We do the technology to help AI and machine learning, and at the same time, machine learning can help us. And why don't we just gather all the advanced techniques, for example, mixture of experts like VAE, GAN, diffusion model, and even deep reinforcement learning for optimization to realize some kind of genetic AI. For that, they can plan in decision making, reactivity, and reason to form some kind of reverse design. Mean that we no longer need a very specific expert in the area, but just require some kind of function, and AI may come up with not irregular geometry. So this is already shown in some research. And you can see that the couplers on the bottom of the right-hand side figures have a geometry of very strange, and no such kind of human can imagine can do some kind of, can make like geometry in this kind of device. So in the end, we can have a device that have like better geometry, shorter, and also lower high performance and lower crosstalk. And then this is the key things that allow us to integrate many of the device into density circuit for higher density, higher functionality with the fast design time and with the low cost, thanks to the support of the machine learning. And this is come to the last slide of my talk. So fiber optics is gonna be a future-proof technology for AI/IO interconnection for sure, as you presented by previous speakers. And silicon photonics is where electronics and photonics meet. So this is very promising technology. But in order to have a very high density circuit, we need more research in innovation to realize high density photonic integrated circuit. And this open a great opportunity for Vietnam or even Danang as a new player in the semiconductor industry. So this is the end of my talk, and I would like to thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you, Associate Professor Dr. Nguyen for your presentation. Before the next part of the event, we would like to invite to the stage the representatives of the central government delegation and foreign diplomatic representatives, also the representative of Danang City, alongside our representative from co-organizing units, offices and agencies, and our esteemed speakers to come up to the stage to have a group photo before we go to the next part of our presentation. Please welcome to the stage. Please welcome to the stage to have a group photo so we can commemorate this wonderful moment. Distinguished leaders, esteemed delegates, we are now ready to get started and continue our InnovaConnect event. Continuing with our program, we will now move on to the presentation 4 on the topic Frontiers in Semiconductor Technology, AIST's Strategic Research Initiatives, presented by Dr. Tatsuro Maeda, Research Manager, the National Institute of Industrial Science and Technology, AIST, Japan. It is our great honor to respectfully invite Dr. Tatsuro Maeda on the stage. Please, can we have a big round of applause?
Thank you very much. Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tatsuro Maeda from AIST Japan. It is a great honor to be here in VinFuture for InnovaConnect 2025. I please organize members to give you a great chance to present our research activities. Today, I'd like to share with a strategic research initiative in semiconductor technology in Japan. I hope this presentation will provide insight in Japan's strengths, challenge, and our collaboration efforts to shape the future of advanced semiconductor research. Okay, this is outline my presentation. We began with looking at how semiconductor technology meets the growing demands of the advanced AI systems. Next, I provide an overview of Japan's semiconductor industry. Then I will introduce SFRC, a new initiative at our National Institute. We'll also take a closer look at the Super Clean Room, SCR, our facility for prototyping advanced devices. After that, I'll share some of our recent research activities targeting technologies beyond the 2-nanometer node. Finally, I will wrap with my summary remarks. Let's take a look at the current trends and the challenges in the AI semiconductor technology. This graph illustrates the growing gap between AI compute demands and hardware scaling. It shows how long it takes to train AI models. As model size and complexity increase, the training time has grown dramatically. While transistor counts continue to double every 2 years, Following Moore's law, famous Moore's law, AI workloads are double every 4 months. This mismatch highlights a critical challenge. Moore's law alone is no longer sufficient to support the pace of AI development. To keep up, we must explore the new approach in device and system level innovation. As AI systems evolve towards artificial general intelligence and even artificial superintelligence, we need semiconductors that are optimized for the specific application, such as automobile, driving, communication, and robotics and IoT. To support these demands, CMOS scaling continue with technologies such as FinFET, GAAFET, and complementary FET and 2D FET. At the same time, advanced packaging is evolving, enabling more component compact efficient integration through the 2D, 2.D, and 3D structures. And as previous presenter mentioned before, optical integration is becoming increasingly important. This transition will be essential for meeting future AI performance and energy efficient needs. Next, I'd like to talk about the semiconductor industry in Japan. Okay, this slide presents a global market share of the semiconductor industry. Taiwan, US, South Korea, and China leads the advanced semiconductor manufacturing. Japan holds approximately 70%, reflecting its continued relevance. In the memory segment, Kioxia, formerly Toshiba Memory, is a major global supplier of the flash memory. In the DOA, data analog optical, Sony leads its world-class image sensors. This segment demonstrates Japan's strengths in a specialized high-volume semiconductor components. Still, Japan plays an important role in the global supply chain. Moving on the semiconductor manufacturing equipment, Japan shows a more stronger presence in several key segments, such as cleaning, deposition, and automation tools. Japanese company like TL, Screen, or others hold significant market shares. Compared to the overall semiconductor market, Japan's share in the manufacturing equipment is notably higher. This reflects Japan's strengths in precision engineering and reliability, which are critical in the advanced fabrication process. This slide shows Japan's global market share in key semiconductor materials. Japan plays a vital role in supporting essential materials such as silicon wafer, photoresist, sputtering targets, and CMP slurry, and others. Japanese chemical and material companies excel in precision and purity and process control, forming a backbone of semiconductor fabrication. These strengths are the major source of Japan's competitiveness in a global supply chain. However, it counts advanced logic semiconductor production. Japan's footprint is extremely limited. For the 10 nanometer to 32 nanometer range, Japan holds only 2% of global capacity. And for nodes below 10 nanometer, Japan has no more share at all. This means Japan is highly dependent on the overseas sources for advanced semiconductor supply. If supply from Taiwan or other countries were disrupted, the economic impact would be severe. From economic security perspectives, it's essential to Japan to strengthen its domestic supply capacity. Building on its strengths in the material and the equipment, Japan must have invest strategically in advanced semiconductor manufacturing. To address this challenge and build on Japan's strengths, AIST has established a new research center dedicated to advanced semiconductor innovation. As mentioned before, evolution of a semiconductor is essential to promoting digital transformation and green transformation, solving social issues and strengths industrial competitiveness. At the AIST, we are currently building an open product line under the post-5G project. This facility will enable the prototyping of 2nm node, gate-all-around GAA transistors, a key technology for future logic devices. Our mission is not only conduct cutting-edge research using this pilot line, but also to promote open innovation. To support this vision, we established the Semiconductor Frontier Research Center on October 1st, 2023, as a dedicated hub for advanced semiconductor research. Okay. The SFRC was founded with a clear purpose: to secure Japan's leadership in advanced semiconductor technologies. We were committed to promoting research and development from material and devices to process design and evaluation. In addition, SFRC also serves as a center of the excellence of the open innovation. Our key facilities include the superclean model that is a 4-inch line for proof of concept development, and AI Chip Design Center, AIDC, which supports agile design initiatives. Next, I'd like to talk about the superclean, which serve as key facilities for advanced semiconductor prototyping at AIST. This is a view of SCR located in the west campus of AIST. The building consists of the 3 parts: clean room, office wing, and utility tower. The clean room spans 3,000 square meters, supporting 300-meter wafer processing with a class 3 containing contamination control comparable to mass production line. Next to the SCR, TSMC, Japan 3D IC R&D Center, was established in 2021 in a collaboration with Japanese manufacturers. This location was chosen to leverage Japanese strengths in semiconductor materials, substrates, and equipment, and to facilitate cross cooperation with domestic companies in developing advanced 3D packaging technology. Let's take a close look at the SCR. Okay, we start with the deposition area. When fluorescent thin film such as oxide, nitride, and gate stack are formed using PVD, CVD, and ALD, these are deposition techniques. These areas are essential building device structures. Next to the lithography area equipped with the ARF, KRF, and I-line exposure tools. Using immersion ARF lithography, we can achieve the 45 nanometer line and space patterns like this. Then comes the etching area, where a pattern are transferred into material layers using a dry or wet etching. This step shapes the device with high precision. Finally, in the interconnect area, we form a multi-layer wiring structure using a copper plating and a CMP. This enables the interconnection of the complex circuits. Together, this zone provides a complete process flow, making SCR the versatile platform for the advanced semiconductor prototyping. In the SGR, we are currently building a pilot line for the nanosheet transistors. This line is being equipped with 16 newly introduced tools for GAAFETs. The process starts with a fine lithography using ARF immersion and nano imprint or nano imprint. This nano imprint is embedded by the channel. We then move on the nanosheet stack fabrication, where alternating layer of silicon and silicon germanium grown with a high precision using epitaxial techniques. Next come gate stack formation, which involves selective etching, atomic layer deposition of high-K dielectrics, and deposition of work function metals. These steps are crucial for building a nanosheet GAS transistors with excellent electrostatic control. Finally, we focused on the integration technology for 3D fine logic transistors. To support this, we introduced 16 cutting-edge equipment as shown here. Fine lithography using ARF immersion and electron beam system. Nanosheet stack formation with precise silicon germanium epitaxy and selective etching. Gate stack fabrication, including high-K dielectrics, work function metals, and atomic layer atomic layer deposition. And finally, integration technique to bring these all elements together with high precision. We also have a tool for wet cleaning and nano cavity, low temperature oxide and nitride deposition, CMP, and 3D methodology. With this pilot line, we are creating a platform that supports not only device development, but also process innovation for the next generation transistors. Finally, I'd like to briefly introduce our recent research activities targeting the technology beyond the 2 nanometer node. At the Semiconductor Research Center, SFRC, we are working on several key themes. We are developing a 2 nanometer node GAFET, as mentioned, along with the device and the material technology to push the CMOS beyond the 2 nanometer limits. We also exploring the silicon qubit, which could open the new possibilities in quantum computing. To bring these technologies together, we are designing advanced SoCs for high-performance application. And to ensure the progress is sustainable, we are assessing environmental impact of semiconductor manufacturing. All of these areas are connected, forming a comprehensive approach to next generation semiconductor research. Our team has been actively developing devices and material technologies targeting beyond 2 nanometer. One highlight is aggressive integration of silicon and germanium stacked channel we call HCFETs, featuring vertically stacked silicon N FETs and germanium NP FETs. This architecture enables high-speed operation and low power consumption in a collaboration with Taiwan Semiconductor Research Institute. We also developed the ideal contact technology for atomic layer molybdenum disulfide channels using a rare electrode materials such as antimony telluride. These approach activities low contact resistance and excellent thermal stability, which are essential for the VLSI size integration. But to build the heterogeneous CMOS devices, we also need a high quality hetero layer on silicon. Let me introduce such a method, low temperature hetero layer bonding. The process began with direct bonding of the germanium SOI donor wafer on the SOI host wafer, following by the selective etching and back grinding. Defective germanium layer are removed during the thinning process result in a high-quality germanium layer with the desired thickness. This method enables the fabrication of 8-inch germanium silicon heterolayer stacked wafers, which is a significant step towards scalable manufacturing. Using the LDHBD process, we successfully transfer germanium layer to form vertically stacked germanium and silicon channel with high-k metal gate structure. The result device exhibits well-behaved characteristics for both silicon NFET and germanium PFETs controlled by the common gate. These results validate the LDHBT process as a variable manufacturing solution for heterogeneous CMOS devices. These findings support our vision for next generation semiconductor technologies. Okay, let's move on the summary. Japan holds a unique position in a global semiconductor ecosystem, excelling material, equipment, and precision engineering. However, as the demand for advanced logic device accelerates, our domestic manufacturing capacity must evolve. AIST is leading effort for the enhanced domestic capability through a pilot line for the 2 nanometer and beyond, focusing on nanosheet transistor and sustainable process. Our research spans from GAFET and heterogeneous integration to sustainable semiconductor processes. Finally, I remark international collaboration is essential to address a global challenge and accelerate semiconductor innovation. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tatsuro Maeda, for your speech. Distinguished leaders, esteemed delegates. Next, we will listen to the presentation number 5 on the topic Powering Vietnam's Semiconductor Ambition, presented by Ms. Linda Tan, President of SEMI Southeast Asia. It is our great honor to respectfully invite Ms. Linda Tan to the stage. Please welcome.
Thank you so much. Xin chào, distinguished guests and industry friends. First of all, I'd like to thank you to the organizer, DSAC and VinFuture, for having me here today. My presentation today will not be so much on technical stuff, which I'll leave it to the expert, but I'll be sharing more on the semiconductor world today. In fact, today's gathering is more than a conference. It's a moment that reflects the ambition and determination of Vietnam, and indeed of all Southeast Asia, to step confidently into the future of semiconductor industry. We are in a period of transition and evolution, a time that calls for us to harness and strengths of different regions and forces for a collective effort to build a more resilient and inclusive semiconductor ecosystem. Sorry, just me. Okay. As many of you are aware, today we operate in what we call a multipolar world. No longer is global influence concentrated in one single country. Instead, power is distributed across multiple regions. This brings unprecedented challenges. Companies and countries alike must navigate a world where interdependence is complex and the balance of power constantly shifts. To succeed, we must strengthen multilateralism by building more resilient, being more inclusive, and adapting to realities of our time through forging partnership, updating global rules and policy, and advancing bilateral dialogues. In this environment, the semiconductor industry faces new realities. conflicting sovereign interests, complex tariffs, fragmented supply chain, critical shortage of skilled talent, and also urgent calls for global standards in areas like cybersecurity, AI, data, and of course, advanced packaging. Together, these forces created greater complexity, uncertainty than ever before. Yet, we also challenge us to promote global integration, rethink how we build resilience while we work together to reduce trade barriers and enable freer flows of innovation. I think this chart is familiar to everyone because I saw that in previous speakers. But this is also bring us to another side to this story. While we face challenges, we are also witnessing unprecedented growth, from Internet of Things to artificial intelligence and soon to be quantum computing. Semiconductors are the beating heart of innovation, as I know everybody agreed here. Our industry is expected to surge past 1 trillion and towards 2 trillion in the years ahead. This growth is not only about scale, it's about shaping the very future of computing, industries, and societies, and it's make collaboration across borders more essential than ever. So let me share what SEMI's role is here. So we are a truly global association with footprint in 8 regions and countries. Our headquarters is in US and Asia Pacific based in Singapore. SEMI, we connect $3 trillion electronics manufacturing and design supply chain, uniting more than 3,500 members companies worldwide and 1.3 million professionals. SEMI, we have more than 50 years of history. So what's our role? Our role is to connect, collaborate, and innovate. With this chart, you can see that SEMI is not a typical association that just do programs like SEMI Expo and SEMICON. We have a full suite of solutions that we provide for our members' company that convene from thought leadership, champion standards, build platforms for collaboration, and working groups that address challenges that our members' companies encounter or facing. So in short, SEMI is the bridge that brings together the government, industry, and academia, ensuring our ecosystem prosper, and even in uncertain times, while advancing shared goals of integration and resilience. And this brings us to Vietnam. So Vietnam is no longer just an emerging participant. It is rising as a strategic hub for semiconductor growth and innovation. This is a quick recap on Vietnam's journey. Between now and 2027, Vietnam's semiconductor industry is projected to grow at 11.6% annually, reaching over $31 billion. Already, it has a vibrant IC design sector, and it is fast becoming a major player in the assembly, test, and packaging. Global leaders like Amkor, Hana Micron, and Intel are already here. Today, Vietnam accounts for about 1% of global ATP capacity, and I believe by 2030, with so much vibrancy that's going on around in Vietnam, the numbers is expected to climb 8 to 9% by 2030. The launch of Vietnam Semiconductor Development Strategy in 2024 with a roadmap towards 2050 shows a long-term vision that Vietnam has. Local champions like Viettel, FPT, CMC, Vingroup, and etc. are also stepping forward. And here in Danang, I am extremely delighted to see the setup of VSAP Lab that is strengthening the nation's position in ATP space. Earlier this year, Vietnam also approved its first semiconductor fab, which is a $5 million investment that will be completed before 2030. All these developments, alongside with the growing international partnership, including the new commitments from South Korea, confirm one truth: Vietnam is the new chip destination, ready to integrate into the global value chain. As SEMI, we are proud to stand alongside with Vietnam in this journey. This November, we will host SEMI Expo Vietnam 2025 at Vin Palace in Hanoi, co-organized with National Innovation Center, NIC, in partnership and supported by Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Science and Technology, Netherlands Embassy, as well as US Embassy. This will be the largest congregation of the semiconductor supply chain in Vietnam, bringing together more than 5,000 visitors and 200 over booths from the semiconductor industry. This event will feature Vietnam policy updates, showcase Vietnam value chain, business matching and networking opportunities, training workshop, as well as talent program that we have curated. And of course, it will be a place where government, industry, academia meet to collaborate on Vietnam's semiconductor ambition. It is also a chance for Vietnam to show their ready value chain to the global community. So as you can see, SEMI Expo Vietnam has already garnered support from leading global local industry. Their presence demonstrates the confidence and commitment of the industry towards Vietnam's semiconductor journey. It also reinforced SEMI Expo Vietnam as the platform where global technologies leaders, local champions, and the worldwide supply chain come together to collaborate and innovate. This list is still growing. More companies are onboarding. Beyond Vietnam, what is SEMI doing? We expand our platform to advance dialogue and growth. In Singapore, we have International Policy Summit brings together country leaders to align on geopolitical challenges. Next year, in Kuala Lumpur, SEMICON Southeast Asia will host the largest regional congregation of the supply chain with technology showcase for cross-regional collaboration. I'd also like to take this opportunity to highlight that SEMICON Southeast Asia is semi-official and global recognized platform for the semiconductor industry in the region. So we welcome the growing interest in the semiconductor events here in Vietnam as a sign of the industry vibrancy. But at the same time, SEMICON Southeast Asia remains the official platform organized by SEMI. So the world around us is shifting rapidly. The semiconductor industry facing challenges and yes, and also opportunity of historic scale. Vietnam Rise is not just an aspiration, it is already in motion, and SEMI is committed to walking this journey together, strengthening multilateralism, building resilience, empowering talent, and promoting global integration. We are already in talk with some of the agencies, such as NIC, on talent development program for Vietnam. Together, by harnessing the force of regions for a collective effort, reducing trade barriers, we hope we can come together to shape the industry. So let us continue to connect, collaborate, and innovate together, power Vietnam's semiconductor ambition. For that, thank you and come on.
Thank you so much, Ms. Linda Tan, for your presentation. Distinguished leaders, esteemed delegates, continuing with our program, we will now move on to presentation number 6 on the topic, Marvell's Silicon Photonics Technology, High-Speed Interconnect and in Artificial Intelligence and Cloud Data Centers, presented by Dr. Lê Quang-Dam, General Director at Marvell Technology Vietnam. It is our great honor to invite you. Please, can we have a big round of applause, please?
Thân chào tất cả các anh chị, các em, các cháu, đặc biệt là tất cả các bạn đồng nghiệp. Good morning. I have a very lovely, grand, niece. She is about, 6 years old. Her name is Alpha. She has a very high, curiosity. Whenever she wants to know something, she tries, to look at on the computer and she says, let me ask Uncle Google. That is in the past. But nowadays, she always wants to ask some ChatGPT. So like a Miss, Bich-Yen already mentioned, AI actually, around everywhere, right? In our life, AI become, incredible, neat. Everyone, we use, AI in all of the activity daily. So today, I would like to share with you a very short, journey, how, Marvell we develop, the silicon photonics, especially how, in the area of the high-speed connectivity for the data center. Here, just, a picture to show you everywhere you can find, AI, you can find the cloud. Why we talk about the cloud as well? A few years ago, we talked about the big data. Data is so important. It contains all of your personal information, the information from your enterprise, from nation, etc. And now, if you remember for your personal use, you keep, your photo, some data in the cloud, even you access the software or some application from the cloud as well. So cloud and AI, they are really, go together. And a lot of activity here, a lot of application you can see, they are really stick with the AI and cloud. In order to make cloud develop, it's really changed quite significantly the data center, how it is architected. In the web base, if you look at the Google, Yahoo, when the question enter, they can go directly to one processor. But with the AI, it's much more complicated. The question need to be distributed balancedly among different processors because it's very complicated. So that's why it brings up, the issue is, what is the topology of the network of data center to make it works efficiently? The data center, if you look very simple at a high level, there are three main components: the processor, the network switch, and also, the connectivity. The network switch, like a professor, Nguyen already mentioned, one processor can be connected with a lot of connection, right? So here, I focus not on the compute, not on the switch, but I focus only the last one, that is high-speed connectivity, how it is important for the AI and the cloud data center. In this one, I think you can see, the proportion of the CPU or the processor with, the number of the connection. Like Professor Hung mentioned, the ratio keep increasing. One processor, you need multiple, connection. From the left-hand side, you can see the ratio is only 1 to 1, but it's moving significantly when the data center become bigger and bigger. In Vietnam, let's say we have the data center with a total capacity about less than 200 megawatt. But OpenAI, they had a plan to open a huge, AI data center with more than 1.2 thousand megawatt. So it's bring up, the issue how you can connect all the server, all the cluster together. So the ratio becomes significantly high. One processor is correspond to 10 or even higher connection. So it put a lot of pressure on how you can build a connection efficiently. So here's the high level of the architecture of the server in the AI data center. You can see at the bottom, the server or the processor, I mean the CPU, the GPU, DPU, XPU, they will be connected to the backbone by, the optical cable. The same thing at the upper level on the top. If you want to connect or you want to transfer the data from the data center from one to the other, go through the Ethernet, go to the outside world, you also need to connect through, the front end, network. So all of those things, they need very high speed connection, low latency, low power consumption, and especially it must be very, very reliable. So that is why we had the technique we say, the optical connectivity at very high speed. So let's look at a little bit simpler, when you put all the server together, how we can put, the network. When you put all the server inside the cluster, we have, here in the example, we have two levels of the switch together, all the connection to the backbone, the back of the network. And in one data center, you have multiple cluster, right? So if you put all the cluster, all the server together, they must be connected with the front end, I think, network. So both back end and front end network, they really go through, I think, the high speed connectivity. It can go through the copper cable as well, but mainly, I think, when you go to the high speed connection, you need to go to the optical cable. But from one data center, you need to transfer, I think, the data outside as well. So that is how we have the data center interconnect DCI. So DCI is really, I think, crucial for the long, I think, distance, I think, cable, especially if you want to go through the optical cable under the ocean. So this is very high level of the one AI or cloud data center. You can see the importance of the connection. When we talk about the AI, we always think about, oh, we need very high performance processor. But if you can calculate quickly, very efficiently, but you cannot transfer or communicate the data quickly, it's no use with the data center. So they are, I think, two factors need to be designed together. But high-speed connectivity is not for everywhere. We said one side cannot fit all. So on this one, I think it's different, I think, need different situation. You have different technology to address, I think, the connection. At the bottom, when I think the distance is very short, let's say within one server, just a few centimeter or a few meter, you still can use, I think, very cheap passive connection. That is, I think, the copper cable. But when the distance getting a little bit bigger, not 1 meter, 20 meter, 1 kilometer, 20 kilometer, or even higher, 100, 1,000 kilometer. You need different technology to address the issue, the bandwidth, the power consumption, the thermal dissipation, etc. So here, when you move up, the distance you move from, I think, the electrical to optical. Even if you once remain on the electrical world, you need to add in some DSP, decision signal processing, in order to improve the signal. So that's why we have, I think, on the second, I think, bottom there, you have the AEC, active electrical cable. And then you move up. At Marvell, we have different technology. We say PAM or PAM4, PAM6, PAM8. That is how you modulate the signal in the amplitude. And then also, I think, when you go to the very long distance, we have the current technology. So all of those technology allow us to address different needs on different applications, from short to long distance, from low to very high bandwidth, from, I think, the power consumption is not important to very critical one. So those technology is really address, I think, how we can connect everything together within the AI data center. But what are the challenges when we do this kind of architecture? We do have the challenge in terms how you can expand the reach or the distance, how you can reduce, I think, the power consumption, and for sure, how you can increase the bandwidth. So we talk about the silicon photonics. That is one of the solutions for the future to address those challenges. Actually, when we talk about the silicon photonics, that is a subset of the photonic IC integrated circuit. We can use, I think, different, I think, material, but silicon photonics is one of the most popular because I think it's very economic in the mass production. We believe this is just the beginning. If you look at on this one, you can see from the left to the right, how I think the silicon photonics help to increase, I think, the bandwidth of the connection. It go, I think, from 10 gigabit, 20 megabit to 40, 80, and nowadays it can go up to 1.6 terabit per second. That is what Marvell just demonstrated at the OFC conference, I think, in January this year. But in the future, we do not stop there. We believe we can go much, much further. In our roadmap, we will go up to 3.2 or 6.4 terabit per second for the current technology. So does it really show, I think, with the AI, I think, application or the development of the cloud and AI, the need of high-speed connection is so crucial. So what Marvell products we have here, I think you can see in the data center, we have different areas. From the top, you connect DCI from one data center to the other one. You use, I think, optical with the current technology. And the other two, when you connect between different cluster, between different server, and inside each server, you do have, I think, different product that Marvell already developed. So I just want to hold here, I think, 1 second. At Marvell, we really believe, I think, that innovation is so important. We really want to develop, I think, a lot of new technology, but how we can realize, I think, those technology to the prototype, to the products in the mass market. That is very long, I think, journey and very important. So a lot of effort, a lot of engineers work tirelessly to make sure our innovation, the technology can become a new products on the market. Here's the example of, I think, the LPO. That is linear driven, I think, optical package. And you can see here, I think, you have different, I think, components that we want to integrate into, I think, one small de facto form. So this one really help to integrate a lot of function into small, I think, area. It enhance the reliability, it reduce the power consumption, and also enhance the performance. But we do not stop there. We need to go through, I think, one step further. I think not only in, I think, discrete solution put into a small de facto form, we want to integrate into one small side that is using, I think, the silicon photonic technology. This is the most advanced, I think, C4 with a silicon photonic products that Marvell developed. You can see the speed, it can go up to 6.4 terabit per second with 32 lane. Each lane is 200 gigabit per second. Nobody else in the world can do it yet. So Marvell is the first one. And we do use, I think, a lot of, I think, advanced technology like a Bich-Yen, Dr. I think Shu Nakimi mentioned about, I think, the CPO, co-packaged optical, including 2.5D, 3D, etc. How we can stack, I think, different die together without go through any long connection. I do not go deep into the detailed technical of those two diagrams, but just to show you in the silicon photonic, how we can integrate the laser, how we can integrate, I think, the optical cable with the modulator, with the TIA, etc., in one small die, so that I think we can do, I think, the transmitter and the receiver for the optical cable. And here's a field photo that to show, I think, our real products, how we can implement different function into one single die using different technology. At Marvell, definitely we do have, I think, the most advanced technology now is 2 nanotechnology. We haven't gone through, I think, deeper, like I think Miss Bich-Yen mentioned, I think 1.4 Armstrong, 1.2, 1, etc. But that is definitely that in the future. But when we shrinking the technology, advanced packaging becomes so important. We need to combine those two together to make sure we can develop, I think, the most advanced, I think, products. How we can integrate a laser, that is very important because we do not want to have an external laser. It will give up a very high cost for the system. And this is, I think, how we can integrate, I think, different, I think, packaging technology, go through one die, die to die, go through the TSV, I think, connection. And yeah, I skip this one as well. That's why I think one of the technology that we package all the function together. The last one on the Marvell products, that is to give you the overview. What are Marvell products we have for the high-speed connection, for the, especially for the AI and cloud data center? From the left to the right, that is with the timeline. When I think the products just in the research, and then we go through, I think, the mass market. And from the right, that is really, I think, newer one, when we have, I think, more advanced performance, increase also, I think, the functionality, integrate more and more, I think, what I think the consumer require. And they have to use, I think, a different, I think, market, different need. So why I put at the bottom there, you can see, if within one server, you really do not need to use, I think, very high speed connection if that is not needed. In Vietnamese proverb, you always hear, I think, one sentence like, "Việc giao không cần giao một lần." That is example. You need to develop and use only the right products for the right application. So the last one on the Marvell products, that is, we really want, I think, to go ahead. We invest heavily on the DSP, on the analog and mixed signal to develop, I think, new technology. And we work, I think, with our partner to make sure, I think, our products can be implemented efficiently with the advanced packaging, with the most advanced technology for, I think, the fabrication in order to make, I think, very high products for Marvell. As you know, Marvell is really, I think, the high-end, I think, company just focus on the data infrastructure. So we do not focus on the consumer market. And then our products need really to have the state-of-art technology. I skipped this one just to show you, I think, the name of the products, because I think Dr. Shu Nakimi mentioned he cannot find, I think, Marvell products, but we do have the products on the market. So this is really the end of my talk. I have only 2 more pages. I am in Danang. I love this city. This is, I believe, the most, I think, lovely city I have been. When I come back to Vietnam 12 years ago, and then I have the chance to work and live in Danang just a few weeks, right? I believe, I think Danang has really high potential to grow, especially in the semiconductor. So Marvell Vietnam was established in Vietnam 12 years ago by 2013. We grow up very quickly with the support from the government. We have now more than 500 engineers working on all the area of the IC design. We had the office in Ho Chi Minh City and in Da Nang. And our commitment is really work with the university, with the government to develop the workforce. I love, I think, one statement from, I think, Dr. Ha. She mentioned, technology is important, but the people is really the key. So we focus a lot on the workforce development. Our commitment is really to grow the workforce about 20% every year. For the last 2 years, we grow up the team from 300 to 500. We have a lot of programs such as internship, scholarship to support the student. And we hope our ultimate goal is to inspire, to give the student, I think, the inspiration that the semiconductor is really the area that Vietnamese student and engineer can work the best. So finally, just to recap, I strongly believe Photonic IC is really one of the future direction for the semiconductor. It will complement with the electrical IC, depend on the application. The optical and electrical IC will work together. And the future of Vietnam, we have, I think, a great opportunity to develop the semiconductor in Da Nang, in Ho Chi Minh City, in Hanoi, and especially not only within Vietnam, but we should collaborate together with the other countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lê Quang-Dam, for the final presentation of our keynote speeches today. Distinguished leaders, esteemed delegates, we will now proceed to the panel discussion of the topic, Connecting R&D, Pilot Production and Commercialization, Opportunities for Developing Photonic Chips and Advanced Packaging in Da Nang. This session is an opportunity to listen to and engage with domestic and international experts on effectively linking research, pilot production, and product developing in Vietnam's semiconductor industry, particularly in promising areas such as photonic chips and advanced packaging. The panel discussion will be moderated by Mr. Lê Hoàng Phúc, Director of the Danang Semiconductor and AI Center, DSAC. And now we are honored to introduce our panelists that will be joining today. We welcome on the stage Dr. Shu Namiki, Assistant Director General, Department of Electronics and Manufacturing, National Institute of Industrial Science and Technology, Japan. We welcome Ms. Bich-Yen Nguyen, Senior Fellow of Soitec, USA. We welcome on the stage Dr. Tatsuro Maeda, Research Manager of the National Institute of Industrial Science and Technology, Japan. We welcome our panelist, Dr. Quang-Dam, General Director at Marvell Technology, Vietnam. And we would now invite Mr. Lê Hoàng Phúc, together with the panelists, to the stage to commence the panel discussion. Please have a big round of applause.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to be here as the moderator for the great panel. And this morning, we already listened like 6 fantastic and impressive presentation, and we do understand a little bit. To be honest, from the government side, it's quite complicated for a lot of like department leader. But today, like this year is the second time we organize Semiconductor Days, and after one year, we witnessed a lot of the development in the Da Nang city, and we like 3 times like the number of like IC design company, and this year we have a new 900 fresher students who have background in IC design. It means that the momentum quite good so far. But the thing is, from the government side, we want to like develop this semiconductor industry much more like sustainable. And how we do that, we need to focus on the right technology. And today, through the collaboration with a lot of like great partner, Danang City government, we focus on the photonic chip and advanced packaging. And you already listened about the presentation about photonic chip and advanced packaging. And the next question is how the government in Danang, in specifically, and in Vietnam in general, can catch this opportunity. How we do that, and we need to hear more idea, suggestion from the experts, come from academy, come from industry, and entrepreneurship. So my first question will send to Dr. Tsunami. Dr. Su, yeah, so in the point of view of you, could you please share with us, like, what is the key challenges? We do know a lot of opportunity. What is the key challenges that we need to solve before the photonic chip can be like wide scale commercialization?
Okay, well, that's a very difficult question, and we are always thinking, and we without any conclusions so far. But first, in general, the unique merits of photonics itself is offering, the high bandwidth, longer reach, low energy, and low latency. And if you isolate physically the channel, and then it can be offer very high security. And I think the photonics is the only means to offer those merits at the same time. But also, as I told, if you apply photonics more, and then you really need to think about the architecture of the system, how you really make use of this great potential of photonics, especially in terms of computing systems. And in order to do that, this is not only the hardware aspect, but also you have to really, talk to the software people or computing architecture people. So the software and the hardware people get together, and then how you can make, the use of the great potential of photonics. I'd say currently photonics has only been, maybe 10 or 20% only of the great potential of photonics utilized in the real systems. But in order to fully, enjoy those merits, you need really, bring together the experts from cross-disciplinary fields, from hardware, software, not just the device, but also the material, and also the the mechanical sort of assembly process, and then software architecture, and also how you control all of the software, the stacks. And then, this is really, something that you can really realize within a company or even within a nation. So I'd say, we really need to globally, get together and then tackle this, very great challenges. So in order to do that, maybe, the government, several governments or the governments of all over the world has to think about it, and then, try to be in align with the, the researchers, ideal, the way to go. So that's.
Thank you, Professor. That's why we are here. We connect from R&D activity to like prototyping and commercialization. And the same question with like Ms. Bich-Yen. Like I already have like understand more about the key challenge and limitation for the photonic chip that we are faced. The same question with advanced packaging. What do you see like the key thing we need to like to be solved before we develop the advanced packaging?
So I mentioned earlier, advanced packaging, in my opinion, it just need, if we want to go fast, we need to collaboration. And it's a combination of the system design, combination of the traditional, conventional packaging, and then a lot of interconnect designed by the system design and the integration engineer, especially the engineer do in the front end, the back end of the front end. That's what is the combination of the advanced packaging. So I would take it short. The experience is out there, but the front end and the back end used to be isolated. So now it's the time to work together, collaboration. The back end of the front end, the system design, material. I show in the transistor scaling, you see a lot of innovation in the front end on the material. I think the same thing will go to the advanced packaging. So collaboration, many different disciplines, material, circuit design, front end, back end. So work together, go there together so we can go.
Yes, thank you so much. So we will follow the keyword collaboration. So my connect question for Professor Maeda-san. So you are in your presentation, you already mentioned a lot of initiative, a new clean room project in AIST. And in terms of collaboration, in your point of view, do you see any opportunities to connect your side with a lot of partner university in Vietnam? So far this morning, we have more than 20 universities participate in this event, and we're looking forward to have a more cooperation with like AIST. Could you share some opportunity consider for the collaboration?
Thank you, question. It's quite difficult question for me, but I'll talk about in my laboratories. Okay. As I mentioned before, AIST have a comprehensive research environment from material and device physics to the prototyping, and also AIST facilities enable to fabricate logic devices as well as photonic devices, as Namiki-san said, and that make collaboration with Vietnamese more promising, I think. But I think there's three key parameters, key directions for the collaboration. For effective collaboration, one is the joint research design. As said, Professor Hong said, there's a lab to fab initiatives, right? In a photonic device in Danang. So our semiconductor initiative is quite complement. It seems like complementary. So I think there's lots of exciting research topics between Japan and Vietnam and the Vietnamese. And the second one is human exchange. Of course, it is very important. So mutual understanding is quite important and can be deepened through the research exchanges or internship, especially in hands-on collaboration in Vietnamese and Japanese facilities. And third one is sustainable collaboration. So I think, personally, I think the institutional commitment and stable funding is very essential for building a long-term collaboration. So these three approaches are very important for the collaboration between the Vietnamese and Japan.
Yeah, thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, we do have the next session this afternoon focus on how to connecting on the supplier for building clean room. As you know, the Vietnamese government have a plan to develop at least 4 national clean room as Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, and Da Nang, and also the 18 lab for university. And we hope that this afternoon we have a more chance to elaborate more detail on that topic. And we do have the Q&A session after this panel. So we will spend about 5 minutes. That's why I hope you have some question on the key panel here. And I want to connect to Dr. PD, our long-term very good friend of Danang City, and I'm really impressed with the development of Marvell in Vietnam, especially at the first time Danang City government had a chance to meet you and Marvell in headquarters in Santa Clara, right? Like November 2023. After that, Marvell already developed the footprint and office in Danang City. And what do you think about like the opportunity for Danang and Vietnam to participate into the supply chain for the new ways of photonic chip and advanced packaging design in the point of view of Marvell?
Thanks, I think, for the question. I believe I have only one answer. There are no other answer. I strongly believe the answer is yes. I think Vietnam, especially in Da Nang or Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, we do have a great chance to become, I think, one of the key player in the whole, I think, semiconductor ecosystem in the world. When we talk about, I think, the silicon photonic or photonic IC in general, with Marvell, we put tremendous effort, time, resource, money to develop that direction. As you can see in my presentation, about 70% of Marvell product is related to the AI and cloud itself. We do not develop, I think, processor like NVIDIA, but we do develop, I think, the second crucial, I think, products that is the high-speed connection. Marvell really the leading vendor for that area. When NVIDIA, I think, developed so well, so successful, Marvell as well. So specifically for Marvell Vietnam, so far as you know, for the last 12 years, we developed a grow up the team from 6 engineers until now we have more than 500 engineers. In Da Nang, we have about 60 engineers. Many of those engineers, they are not working on a low-hanging fruit, low technology at all. They are working on the state-of-art technology. 3 nano, 2 nano, doing a lot of analog, I think, mixed signal design, and a lot of digital, I think, signal processing, DSP as well. They are working on the true products for, I think, Marvell high-speed connection. To look at on the future, I have no doubt personally, the team in Vietnam, for Marvell, for the other company in Da Nang, in Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, etc., we will become, I think, one of the key players, contribute a lot more on, I think, the semiconductor ecosystem in it.
Thank you so much. And I try to say the best for last with the very youngest panelist. Like his name is Bảo Anh. He also the co-founder of VSAP Lab, the first ever like lab in advanced packaging in Danang City and maybe in Vietnam also. Could you please share with us a little bit why you and your team do this project and what does this mean? What does this mean for the semiconductor ecosystem of Vietnam?
Thank you for your question. Yeah, so VSAP Lab is a dream of co-founders who finally see that the possibility of building our dream come true at the right time, at the right place. So that is the story that we want to build, make a successful story for the really special leapfrog in technology in Vietnam. So we are, as a co-founder of VSAP Lab, the first lab fab in Da Nang, and I believe in Vietnam for advanced packaging. I see this is a vital bridge between academic research and industrial reality. Usually the ideas stay in the lab because there's no ecosystem to validate that ideas at scale. So with our vision, with our teams and equipment and facility, we can turn the idea into prototype and then pilot product line and then a mass production. So the opportunity is enormous.
Yeah, but the thing is, do you see like, is it easy to do? You say that the right time, right place, and I would like to you share about a little bit about like your journey so far. What is the most difficult thing you are facing? I would like to share with the other partner in this event also.
Yeah, so the belief is high. Co-founder is, we are a very highly experienced team. So when we see opportunity who can come true, we strongly believe in it. But we know there's so much challenge, so many challenges gonna wait ahead. but we have strongly believe in our teams, in our vision. And yes, it's true. 2 months, 3 months, it feels like 3 years, 5 years, because you have new issues, new problem every day. So from the capital intensive, global competition, the immature of the ecosystem in Vietnam. So everything we go, you see the first time, we have to figure out as the first person to figure out those ecosystem element all the time. But those are challenges also our motivation.
And I hope that through this event so far, you have a more connection, more collaboration with on the university in Vietnam, and especially from AIST in Japan. I believe they have a lot of experience, right, to share and ready to share, right? Yeah. And my next step is I would like to invite some the audience, have some question for my panel, my panelists. And I got the first question from the VinFuture Foundation. It's one of the, the new viral organization of on the overseas Vietnamese people who had the design, who have experience and knowledge, want to contribute to support for the semiconductor in Vietnam. And last month, they have a beautiful event, a webinar to share about photonic chip. I would like to invite Hali Pham, the country manager of VinFuture Foundation. Are you here? Oh, sorry. Nhờ một bạn kỹ thuật chuyển mic giúp cho chị Hali. Okay. I would like to go to her also.
Thank you for the insightful discussions. On behalf of the audience, I feel humbled to learn from the big brains who have been answering tough questions. So in Vietnam, we see university launching new program and the media talking about semiconductors almost every week. So the public increasingly views semiconductor development as a key technology trend. So do we have concerns that such a fundamental technology, one that's difficult for newcomer to enter, might become more of a surface level trend without real and effective applications? And in your view, what is at the heart of making leapfrogging possible for Vietnam in this field?
So sorry, Hali. Can you ask the question again and who with panelists you want to ask?
I want to see the view from an international view from Mr. Shu and also the view from Ms. Nguyen, a Vietnamese talent.
Your question? Oh, okay. So Holly, can you ask again?
Yeah. So
Very short question.
Do you have concerns that such a fundamental technology, one that is difficult for newcomers to enter, might become more of a surface level trend without real effective application? And in your point of view, what is the heart of making leapfrogging possible for Vietnam in this field?
So you're asking any sort of fundamental technological issues to be overcome in order to enter, or the Vietnam researchers enter to.
And so as an educator, we see that it might be a surface level trend.
Could you say that again? Service?
Surface, yes, surface level trend.
Service level.
Trend. Trend. I mean, like, what is like, many people are talking about this, the media covering semiconductor topics every week in Vietnam. Okay.
So you're talking about the applications or?
I mean, I want to ask you, like, do you have concern that such a fundamental technology is just a surface level trend in developing countries like Vietnam?
Yeah. Do you think it's just like a trending or like it's like purple thing, not sustainable? Do you think it happened in Vietnam so far for the semiconductor, right? Is this your question?
You mean between Japan and Vietnam, or
Is it just like a trending?
training?
Yeah, like it's just a campaign, a very short campaign, not have a long-term impact when we do semiconductor. But it's really complicated and very hard to build the ecosystem for semiconductor. But the thing, a lot of people, a lot of media news mention about the semiconductor. But the thing is right a question, whether Vietnam can do that, or it's just a chain, or short-term campaign. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I think you may have a better answer. I mean, because I'm from a photonics, so if you, anyone, but yeah, I think that's a part of the problem about if you talk about the CMOS industry, and silicon photonics is totally relying on the CMOS, ecosystem, and which is huge. So, whenever you want to have a facility to do the silicon photonics, you need a huge amount of money, and that cannot be bared by a single company or even a single nation. So that's why we are emphasizing we need sort of building the ecosystem together, or the cooperations between the countries. But having said that, if you talk about silicon photonics or CMOS technologies, you have a many degree, the layers of technologies from a very tiny diverse materials and the components and machines for the fabrications. So it's really diverse, and it has a very large tails of this industry. So you can pick whatever you can do, and then this, whatever the tiny or whatever the competence you are interested in, and then you may somehow find that your technology can be used for the somewhere in the huge the supply chain or value chain of the industry. So that this is, I think, the sort of a bottom-up approach, which may be tiny step each by each, but it's will surely build up some day, and then you can have great contributions, and you may find the growing presence inside within the sort of global value chain of the but that's a bottom-up approach. But maybe if you have the government or multilateral strategic alliance between the governments get together, and then that will suddenly promote and accelerate those things. So I think it's important to really push forward, no matter how it can be effective, but what you do, just what you can do, and then that will build up, and then at certain point you talk to the government people, and then you will have a good alignment together and finding the very good strategy. So I don't think there is a easy way to achieve anyhow. So you just keep
going. Yeah, I think it's really meaningful question, a very interesting question, because like we witness a lot of people talk about semiconductor, and a lot of people think that it's just a trending in the social media, and how to develop is like for a long term and sustainability. So I'm looking forward to have a more opinion from the panelists. Any one of you to share the view? Yeah, Mr. Cutie. Yeah, that.
I would like to add a little bit on, I think, that question. Personally, I do not think, the develop or the plan for the semiconductor in Vietnam is a hype, or it's just a short-term trend. We do have a real need, but we need to adjust that to make sure it's a realistic goal. I really want to take example again, I think Marvell. When I come back by 2013, I do see, I think, the need, the opportunity to develop the semiconductor in Vietnam, but I do not see that big as now. For the last 2 years, that is really huge, and that is not, I think, unreal. That is a true. So do you see, I think, in Danang now, like I think Mr. Phúc mentioned, we already have probably near to 20, I think, startup company, right? The other city as well. So we have, I think, really true requirement of the need from the market to develop, I think, semiconductor in Vietnam. And together with that, we work very closely with different universities based on, I think, the government, I think, guideline to develop the workforce in Vietnam. Maybe the number we say, I think 35, 50,000, 100,000 students. We need to evaluate that, I think, objective, probably I think yearly. But we do have a real need for the student, the engineer working on this area. In the past, we hired the students from the related areas such as electronic, telecommunication, computer science, etc. They do have strong background. And then when they learn more, I think specialized, I think knowledge about semiconductor, they can work efficiently in this area. Now, I think with the new curriculum, we work with university to shorten, I think, that path. Instead of to have a long-term, I think, training at enterprise, let's say 6 months, 1 year, maybe we can shorten to 3 months and then they can start to work immediately. So personally, I strongly believe, I think the development of the semiconductor in Vietnam is, I think, really, I think, a true need. And we do have, I think, very high demand, and we work together between 3 parties, government, university, and enterprise to make sure, I think, our goal can be met. Over to Ying.
I think it already complete.
Yeah.
I agree with both. The only additional thing I would recommend that sometimes you have to write on it by D-Day. It's a lot of material out there. You can go and learn, read about it, contact the people with experience, make the connection. It already mentioned that collaboration. And at the same time, industry need to come to university and give a talk and offer the mentorship. So that is an additional adding to it. So at the industry, even though I'm busy, every place I go, if I have time, I will stop by university, meet the professor, meet the student, learn what they're doing, and then share what I know about it and offer help. So mentorship. And we had to learn ourselves. Yeah. We had to drive for it to meet our objective.
Okay, thank you. We have just 3 minutes to go. And I would like to say the last minutes to like write a question, like asking for honor panelists. So we have Mr. Hồ Quang Bửu, the Vice Chairman of the People Committee here of Danang City, Mr. Nguyen Hải Nam from National Assembly, Mr. Hiển from the Central Communist Party, like the strategist like board for the whole country. And just my last question for all of the panelists, just one recommendation or suggestion how to keep this momentum good, how to like make the, from R&D activity to prototype and commercialization for semiconductor in general and photonics or advanced packaging. Just one recommendation for the government side.
Government side?
Yeah.
From
your point of view, sir. One statement. Yeah. From your point of view, could you please share with us one recommendation or suggestion to the government side? What should the government do to make all the things come true?
Well, I believe in the technology that after all, it's from people, right? So just encourage the, enhance or nourish the, the trust and the faith between international researchers. And also we need more optimism,
Okay.
So just keep on encouraging and that is a really necessary part of economic to get growing and growing. So
Thank you, Professor. People and optimism, like keep the faith.
I think from the government, it's like say, I went to quite a few universities, and many of them have been told me they don't have equipment, the tool, the lab. So that's something that the government can help for them and then have.
Thank you. Equipment for lab, clean room, more clean room.
I recommend, as I mentioned before, some frameworks to lateral collaboration needed. So my institute is a public sector, so we can accept suggestions from Vietnam.
Okay, QD. That.
Yeah, if I want to give only one word, that is accelerate. But if I explain that a little bit further, is that we heard a lot. I think if you want to go fast, you go by yourself. If you want to go longer, you go together. But I really want to change that a little bit. Not to go, not to walk. We need to run. So this is the time for the acceleration. So please accelerate to make sure everything can do quicker, more efficient.
So if there's one thing, I would like to ask the government to just all the plan is led by people. So all the plans, especially aggressive one, is led by people. So please support the one who has the passion, who have the talents, is trying to move things forward. Support them, young company, startup, and even people inside the government right now is trying every day to push things forward. So support them and enable them.
Okay, thank you. I support it for the key talent, the key people. We need to figure out who do that. And I believe that in that event today, as I think it's noon right now and quite late. I don't want to take more time before we have a lunch in a beautiful restaurant nearby the City Tower. Once again, we would like to ask you give a big applause for all the panelists here. Thank you for all your sharing.
Thank you so much.
Could you please take a picture?
The panelists, thank you so much for your presentation. Please remain on stage so we can take a picture together. Again, thank you so much to Mr. Lê Hồng Phúc and all our panelists today for such an inspiring panel discussion. And once again, can we have a last round of applause for our panelists? Thank you so much, and please return to your seats. So that has come to the conclusion of today's InnovaConnect event. To formally conclude this seminar today, we are honored to invite to the stage Mr. Ho Quang-Bu, member of the CT Party Committee and standing vice chairman of the Danang People's Committee, to go ahead to the stage to deliver the closing remarks. Please welcome.
Kính thưa các đồng chí lãnh đạo ở Trung ương, địa phương, các nhà khoa học, các vị khách quý, quý vị đại biểu, các thầy cô giáo, các nhà khởi nghiệp, đổi mới sáng tạo, các bạn sinh viên thân mến. Đà Nẵng đang trong giai đoạn chuyển mình phát triển sau khi hợp nhất với tỉnh Quảng Nam từ ngày 1 tháng 7 năm 2025. Trở thành thành phố trực thuộc trung ương có diện tích lớn nhất cả nước, với hơn 3 triệu dân và vị trí chiến lược là cửa ngõ ra Biển Đông. Chúng ta hội tụ đầy đủ những lợi thế về hạ tầng, môi trường đầu tư, chất lượng sống và nguồn nhân lực để vươn lên trở thành cực tăng trưởng mới của miền Trung và là trung tâm công nghệ bán dẫn mới của quốc gia. Sự kiện Ngày vi mạch bán dẫn Đà Nẵng 2025 diễn ra gồm 2 phiên, trong đó phiên buổi sáng là các công nghệ nền tảng cho xã hội tương lai, sự giao thoa giữa điện tử và quang tử, và phiên buổi chiều hôm nay với chủ đề là kết nối chuỗi cung ứng và giải pháp hạ tầng phòng sạch phục vụ sản xuất đóng gói chip bán dẫn Việt Nam. Đây cũng là sự kiện đánh dấu thời điểm gần 2 năm lãnh đạo thành phố tăng cường tập trung nguồn lực phát triển lĩnh vực vi mạch bán dẫn để thể hiện quyết tâm cao của toàn bộ hệ thống chính trị trong việc nắm bắt xu hướng, tiếp cận chuỗi giá trị, thúc đẩy đào tạo nhân lực và xây dựng hệ sinh thái hoàn thiện hơn trong công cuộc phát triển ngành công nghệ bán dẫn. Sự kiện là cơ hội để các cơ quan nhà nước, doanh nghiệp, tổ chức, cơ sở đào tạo và các chuyên gia trong lĩnh vực vi mạch bán dẫn trong nước và quốc tế kết nối, chia sẻ kinh nghiệm, thúc đẩy hợp tác vì phát triển ngành vi mạch bán dẫn của Việt Nam nói chung và Đà Nẵng nói riêng. Đồng thời, đây cũng là dịp tiếp cận các xu hướng công nghệ mới, trao đổi kinh nghiệm quốc tế và kết nối các nhà hoạch định chính sách, chuyên gia, doanh nghiệp và nhà đầu tư chiến lược trong và ngoài nước. Buổi sáng hôm nay chúng ta đã cùng nhau trao đổi nhiều thông tin, ý tưởng và góc nhìn giá trị, mở ra những hướng đi mới để phát triển lĩnh vực công nghệ bán dẫn, điện tử và quang tử. Thưa quý vị đại biểu, thực hiện nghị quyết 57 của Bộ Chính trị, Đà Nẵng xác định phát triển khoa học công nghệ, đổi mới sáng tạo và chuyển đổi số là đột phá quan trọng hàng đầu, là động lực chính cho phát triển kinh tế xã hội thành phố. Cùng với đó, trong gần 9 tháng, triển khai các nghị quyết chính sách, cụ thể hóa nghị quyết 136 về thí điểm cơ chế đặc thù phát triển Đà Nẵng, thành phố đã đạt được những kết quả tích cực trong lĩnh vực đầu tư, như tăng gấp 3 lần số lượng doanh nghiệp về thiết kế vi mạch, triển khai có hiệu quả bước đầu về đào tạo nhân lực bán dẫn và các chính sách ưu đãi lĩnh vực vi mạch. Năm 2025 đánh dấu một mốc rất quan trọng trong lĩnh vực vi mạch bán dẫn Đà Nẵng với việc công ty cổ phần VinFuture khởi động dự án phòng thí nghiệm phục vụ sản xuất công nghệ đóng gói tiên tiến, tổng vốn đầu tư gần 1.800 tỷ đồng. Dự án FabLab là mô hình tiên phong tại Việt Nam phục vụ thị trường trong nước và quốc tế. Thay mặt chính quyền thành phố, tôi xin chân thành cảm ơn sự hiện và đóng góp quý báu của tất cả quý vị, các chuyên gia, các nhà quản lý, doanh nhân, hiệp hội, các thầy giáo, sinh viên, học sinh để dành thời gian tham dự và chia sẻ trong hội thảo ngày hôm nay. Bên cạnh đó, tôi cũng đề nghị các chuyên gia tiếp tục hỗ trợ hiến kế, đóng góp tri thức, thúc đẩy phát triển lĩnh vực vi mạch bán dẫn và trí tuệ nhân tạo mà thành phố quan tâm. Trên cơ sở các kiến nghị tại hội thảo sáng hôm nay, Ủy ban thành phố Đà Nẵng sẽ chủ động cùng với các bộ, ban ngành trung ương và chính phủ để đề xuất những giải pháp góp phần xây dựng và phát triển hệ sinh thái vi mạch bán dẫn Đà Nẵng nói riêng và Việt Nam nói chung trong thời gian tới. Cuối cùng, tôi xin gửi lời cảm ơn và chúc sức khỏe toàn bộ quý vị. Xin chân thành cảm ơn.
Xin trân trọng được cảm ơn đồng chí Hồ Quang Bửu vì đã kết thúc buổi seminar ngày hôm nay một cách thành công. Thank you, Vice Chairman of the Da Nang People's Committee, Mr. Hồ Quang Bửu. Distinguished guests, the InnovaConnect seminar on platform technologies for future society, the convergence of electronics and photonics, has concluded successfully. Before we officially close the program, we are pleased to announce that the nomination portal for the VinFuture Prize 2026 is now open. The organizing committee, together with the VinFuture Foundation, looks forward to your continued support in recognizing innovations that bring meaningful and positive impact, contributing to the improvement of people's quality of life. Nominations can be submitted via the website vinfutureprize.org. The VinFuture Foundation deeply appreciate your contributions. Once again, we sincerely thank you for your presence today and hope to see you again on this seminar in this afternoon. Thank you so much.